Yo, guys, it's the kid, 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 trying to live, trying to exist, trying to stay alive, trying to be the best guy that I can be, man. Hopefully, everybody is staying safe, everybody's staying at home, everybody is doing their bits here to try and flatten the curve. And shout out to the moronic morons in Florida who are going to the beaches and so forth because they think that this is some kind of a government hoax. So shout out to those brick-headed. I think the brick academy needs to be updated and it needs to induct the states of Florida and so forth for those losers who think that let's just go out. You see, we live in a land of losers. We live in a land of complete losers. So I think for this, and I think going forward, I want to make these things very interactive. So we'll have a topic, and after we have that topic, I think I'm going to now take the questions over to the live chat and just make this thing, because I don't want this to feel very fixed. I want this to feel very interactive, and I want to get the people in the live chat more involved. So after we do this topic, we'll then take questions from the live chat, and anything footballing wise you want to talk about, we will address that question here as a panel rather than me by myself. So, but before we do that, I thought this was fun to do an all-time five-a-side team. So I'll probably give it to the guys in on Sunday as well. And you see, when you're making an all-time five-a-side team, I think you have to keep in mind five-a-side is completely different from 11-a-side, and 11-a-side is a completely different thing. So when I was making my team, I had that in the mindset of what specific players would work in a five-a-side setting based on what five-a-side football is, because futsal is very different from football. It's almost a different sport. It's almost a different sport based on how it's played and the kind and the ways in which you should play. So obviously, we will hear from what everyone else's five-a-side team is. So I'm gonna go first with my own and give my thoughts on mine first, and just give explanations as to why I picked the ones that I did. So this is my five-a-side team now. For my goalkeeper, it depends. So if we are not playing rush goalie, my keeper is Neuer. But if we're doing rush goalie, my keeper is Fabian Barthez. So, and I will explain why after I name that. So if it's rush goalie, Barthez is my keeper. If it's not rush goalie, it's Neuer. So then my other guys are Sergio Ramos, Paul Pogba. Then this was a tough decision I had to make, but I went with this is tough. This is tough. But I had to go with Zidane and then Ronaldo, because for me it was a toss-up between Zidane and Ronaldinho. And Ronaldinho is the king of five-a-side. And as much as I would want to put Ronaldinho in there, I think for me Zidane makes more. You know what? Screw it. I love Zidane. People are coming crazy. I'm putting in Ronaldinho. I'm putting Ronaldinho. Two Brazilians working together. I don't give a damn. So yeah, my team is Neuer. So Neuer if there's no rush goalie. Barthez if there's rush goalie. Ramos, Pogba, Ronaldinho, and Ronaldo. Boom. So let me explain my team. So for me, if it's not a rush goalie, Neuer, one of the best keepers of all time, and also he's pretty good with his feet. So if the ball gets given to him, he can be very adept on his feet and very easily can get the ball rolling, and is very good at coming out and so forth. Now, if it's rush goalie, which means that my keeper can come out and play within the team, Fabian Barthez is probably the best actual footballer who's been a professional keeper, because he actually started as an outfield player. So Barthez as a footballer is actually pretty decent. So if it's rush goalie, I'm going with Fabian Barthez, who would be very easily adept with both feet in the team. So my defender is Sergio Ramos. Ramos is arguably one of the best footballing defenders we've seen. So not only can he do the defensive work, he will be very good on the ball and very good with bringing the ball up and playing it with the rest of the team. So he will feel very much at home with having the ball at his feet. When with Pogba can work on all ends. He can go defensively, can sort it in midfield, he can go in attack. But Pogba has skills. And Pogba's because I was thinking of putting in Vieira, but I said Vieira just isn't as skillful and as technically proficient as a Paul Pogba is. I think Pogba would be work so well in midfield, so at home in the midfield. Then of course Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho is the reason why I went with Dino over Zidane is Dino literally brought 5 aside to 11 aside. So this is Dino's house. This is literally Dino's house. So Dino would be able to do some outrageous things on this 5 aside because if he can do that stuff in 11 aside, he will rip you open on the 5 aside. And Ronaldo, El Fenomeno, peak Ronaldo in this setting will be a literal goal machine because he can walk in tight spaces, he can finish, he's strong, he is quick with both feet, and he will just be amazing. So that is my team. So it's a Neuer or Batters, depending on rush goalie or no goalie, Ramos, Pogba, Ronaldinho, and El Fenomeno Ronaldo. So Tara, give me your 5-a-side, bro.
Okay, so I think regardless of whether or not it's rush goalie or not, I'd say I'd pick Neuer because even when he's in the goal, he's still very solid. So I'd pick Neuer. For defense, I'd say Maldini. I mean, he was an excellent defender. He also had technical ability. He could carry the ball. He could pass the ball, and that's something you need if you're the only defender in a 5-a-side. For the midfield, I think 2 midfielders probably would work the best. For one of my midfielders, I'd say I'd pick Xavi. He could come deep to get the ball, and if he connects with another midfielder, he could go late into the box and connect with the striker.
Okay.
For
So Xavi is your main midfielder then.
Yeah, yeah, we have another midfielder and then the striker.
Okay.
So if I could just, for the other midfielder, I'd say I'd put Zidane. I'd say I'd put Zidane, as the other midfielder. And then for striker, I'd put R9 because he can come deep to get the ball and then just go and score as quickly as that.
Okay. All right. LB, what is your team, bro? Give us your team, Mr. LB. Okay. Mr. Peter Gonzalez, give us your team, bro. Peter Gonzalez.
I'd go with Neuer in goal. My team's actually quite similar to Have Hopes, just I would change the striker. I wouldn't pick R9. I didn't see R9 play, so I'm not going to pick him. I would go with, I think, Messi instead of R9. I think Messi and Dino's link up would still be amazing. So, practically, Neuer in goal, Ramos in midfield, Ramos in defense, Pogba, Ronaldinho, and Messi.
Okay, so why would you go for why would you not go for a recognized striker? Because you feel like if Ronaldinho and Messi would still be able to create goals without either of them being like a striker.
Absolutely. Both of them can place the ball where they want it to be. You're not in the 5-a-side, you're never too far away from the goal. So it's not like you need to have special movement. It's more about the teamwork and the build up to the goal, especially when you're that highly level, you have that much skill in the game. It's not like when we play, there's like space on the pitch. These are like professionals where the defense is going to be covered. So it's about how do you actually carve your opponent open. And I think Dino and Messi will be able to carve any defense open.
Okay. Mr. LB, what about you? Which ones are you going with? Who's your favorite team?
My team will consist of Manuel Neuer in goal.
Neuer's getting picks, man. All right.
Yeah, obviously, Bayern Munich and Germany legend who's won nearly everything. His ability to be a very effective sweeper keeper, as we saw in the 2014 World Cup, is one of the reasons why I've included him. also his leadership skills, especially over the last couple of years since Philip Lahm had retired in both the Germany and the Bayern Munich side as well. And another attribute is obviously his height, which is very important as goalkeeper as well. So Neuer for my goalkeeper. As for defence, I'd also have to say Sergio Ramos for his overall sort of fighting spirit. Again, another player who's won nearly everything at Real Madrid. Someone who's also very good at the martial arts as well, as we've seen over the last couple of years. As well as his ability to go forward and score goals from crosses as well, to really create a lot of havoc for defenses, opposition defenses. So Rams for my defender. I'd have two wingers, midfielders, sort of wingers in Robin and Ribery. Obviously, these two players, obviously these two players have played a lot of football with each other over the last 10 years, and I think you can't leave Robin's left foot out of any side really. When you have Robin, you can't leave out Ribery as well. So they sort of go hand in hand with each other, and I think they will hold or create a lot of opportunities for my striker, which is Cristiano Ronaldo. So I have Cristiano Ronaldo up front, obviously the greatest goal scorer in the in club football. Obviously very good in the air as well. So I have Ronaldo up front. As for my captain, I'd probably have to say Sergio Ramos as well. With
okay, so let me ask this of you. So, why haven't you gone with a central midfielder to sort of, or wait, so one of two things. Why haven't you gone with either a central midfielder or a number 10 playmaker? But you've rather gone with two attacking wingers and a striker, but there's no one in the middle to sort of make creative passes through. So how come you went with the two wingers?
When I say I haven't got a central midfield or someone in midfield, I'm hoping that I can rely on a Ribery, a Robin, or even a Ramos to sort of push up the field a little bit. But I couldn't really sort of think of a central midfielder. Obviously, there are many midfielders who've played at the last few years who've done really well in Xavi and Iniesta, but in terms of any players who could sort of fit in my side, I couldn't really think of any. So hence the two wingers and leaving the central midfielder out.
Okay. So let me kick it for so Christ. Give me your five-a-side, bro.
Yeah, what's up, HH? So goalkeeper, HH, I would pick Neuer. I know it's obvious. Sorry that everybody already said this, but it's just I feel like he fits best in a five-a-side game, man, because like he's good on the ball, and he's a sweeper keeper, like you said, like we all said, and like the way he can like come out, retrieve the ball, distribute the ball from deep. I think it would be a good addition, and and in my lifetime he's probably the best sweeper keeper I've seen. He revolutionized it. For defense, I would go for Sergio Ramos as well. And that's because he's a complete defender. He's good on the ball. He can pass well. He could, when you press him, he's press resistant. He could play the ball out of the back. So yeah, he would be my center back. My midfielder would probably be Iniesta, just because of his distribution, ball control, his dribbling, his ability.
So you'd put Iniesta right in your central area midfield.
Yeah, man, because like he can distribute the ball really well, and I feel like in a five-a-side game, you need like really technical players, and I think that Iniesta's probably the most technical midfielder I've seen. You can put Xavi in there as well, Modric, Pirlo, honorable mentions, and then I would put. I'm leaning between Messi and Ronaldinho, but I would probably put Ronaldinho, because I feel like Ronaldinho, at his peak, is like a more technical player than Messi and skilled. Like Messi's a better player, obviously, but Ronaldinho, like he's a more skilled player, and I think he would really work well in a five-a-side game. So I would have him in there, man. And then my striker would be Cristiano because he's just a poacher. And he would just bang in the goals that the midfield and Ronaldinho obviously creates for him. and he also has really good skills in his like prime. So I would put Ronaldinho. So that would be my team now.
All right, cool. All right. San Maya. What is your team? Remember, guys in the live chat, votes for who you think has the best team. Try to remember the teams and votes for who you think has the best team in the live chat. San Maya, give us your 5-a-side.
HH, can you hear me?
Yeah, but speak a little louder, bro. Speak a little louder.
So for goalkeeper, I'll pick Manuel Neuer. And then for defense, I'll pick Philipp Lahm. And then the two midfielders, I'll pick Zidane and Makelele. And for forward, I'll pick Arjen Robben.
Okay, so why aren't you going with a striker?
Oh, because I think Robben can do that. Like, he's more of an inside forward, but I think he can still like bang goals.
Okay. And okay. So you had Neuer, Lam, and who are your midfielders again?
Zidane and Makelele.
And your striker was
Robben.
Oh, okay. Interesting team. And do you think that you do? Okay, so where would the goals come from? Mainly from Robin or from Zidane? Then how would you get goals?
Probably Robben.
Okay, all right, okay. McTominay, Zidane. Wild name, by the way. But yeah, give us your 5-a-side, bro.
I think for my goalkeeper, I'll have Edison. Just one of the greatest passes in goalkeeping history. I think his passes are one of the most accurate I've seen, better than most midfielders in the Prem.
Wait. So this is Edison of Man City?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. In defence, I'd have Paolo Maldini. I think there's no need to even explain his defensive capabilities. Just sweep up everything needed. Midfield, I'd have Iniesta. I'd have Ronaldinho up just above him. Iniesta could be that link between defence to midfield. I'd have Ronaldinho just assisting. And at front, you can't have a 5-a-side and not have the greatest player to ever grace football in Cristiano Ronaldo up front. I think you just put him up front there, he'll get a goal. 11 times out of 10, he'll make a goal out of nothing. So I just think if you have him there, there's no need to even worry about goals.
So you had Maldini in defense. Now we know how great of a defender he is. Do you think Maldini is suited to 5-a-side?
Yes, I do think that because he's not going to be ultimate. It's not like he's going to be a long distance. In 5-a-side, acceleration speed is not really needed. You really need to just have you need to have the brain and you need to have stamina. I think no one can question Maldini's stamina.
No, but the thing is that a lot of us went with a Sergio Ramos, not because we think he's a better defender than Maldini, but we think that on the 5-a-side, everyone has to touch the ball and everybody has to be good on the ball in the 5-a-side. Is Maldini better on the ball than Ramos?
I don't think he's better on the ball than Ramos, but I think he'll be a lot more better than dealing with pacey strikers or pacey wingers than Ramos would be.
But then you then said like speed isn't really an issue in 5-a-side.
No, I'm just saying if you have like pacey wingers driving towards you, obviously I think Paolo Maldini would be more suited to defend against them than Ramos would be. That makes sense because Ramos is more rash. He will just. That's my opinion. He'd be more rash.
Okay, no, that's fine. All right. Rodrigo, give us your 5-a-side, bro. Rodrigo.
Hello. Yeah, my fault. Yeah. So I wanted to go a little different for mine. I wanted to make a 5-a-side team for players that I've watched play football, and I started watching football around 2008, around when I was like 10 years old or like 11. So I went with Neuer as goalkeeper, because I feel like he's the best on the ball. And then for defense, I went with Sergio Ramos. And for the midfield, I switched it up a little bit. I wanted to put Marcelo in midfield because I feel like he's super technical, and yet he's good at going forward, and he's okay at going back. And then for my other midfield, this is going to be a little controversial, but I feel like a player that is kind of under isn't rated highly is Isco. I put Isco in the 5-a-side.
Wow. No, Isco would be very just. I don't know whether I would put him above some other bulls, but Isco would be very good at 5-a-side. He'd be very good at 5-a-side. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I'll put Isco. I feel like he'll be better at five-a-side than some other players. And then for my striker, I'll put Messi just because I feel like he can do he could create chances and be the goal scorer. So yeah, Messi. So I'll be Neuer, Sergio Ramos, Marcelo, Isco, and Messi.
Okay. Stodge, give us your five-a-side, bro.
I'm going to do it slightly different. No keeper. No keeper.
Oh God.
No keeper. I mean, keepers are not that good with their feet. I don't know why everyone's saying they play midfield. They play in goal for a reason.
Why do you have to be so? You see, people blame me for being different instead of being different. I'm sorry, I'm not Stodge, bro.
HH, there's this agenda that Neuer can play midfield. Listen, just because you can pass side to side well doesn't mean you're a midfielder. You're in goal for a reason. Nobody dreams to be a goalkeeper. He wasn't good enough. So I'm going to go with. I'm going to have only one defender. I was going to go for Marcelo, but I need an actual defender. So I'm going to go with Dani Alves. Both-footed Brazilian, knows how to play futsal, has grown up in five-a-side scenes, futsal scenes. I'm gonna go with Neymar next. You know, pure Jogo Benito. I'm gonna go with Ronaldinho. I'm gonna go with the guy that has the best footwork in football history, R9, phenomenal. And then I'm gonna go for Cristiano Ronaldo. And I'm gonna go for the Cristiano Ronaldo that played between his peak. For me, I'm gonna go with him between 2007 till about 2012 when he did actual skills. And in terms of skills, trickery, nobody is touching my team. And nobody's touching it. And yeah, that's it. I've got the best five-a-side team. No one's even close to it.
Okay, Storch. Wait. Let me, because I've got a Fifi thing because I think someone has even pointed this out. You have Dani Alves in defense.
Exactly. Exactly.
No. See, Dani Alves, I think, would be great at five-a-side.
Bro, you have Philip Lahm. What skills is he going to do?
Please, HH.
He has no skills. I mean, people have Robin, who's one-footed. If you're one-footed, you cannot play. You cannot play in small, tight spaces. I'm sorry, futsal doesn't have one-footed players. If you're one-footed, you're easy to stop in futsal. You need two-footed players.
No. Okay, but my thing though is that Dani Alves still needs to do some defending. He's quality in the ball. You're telling me that Dani Alves as your sole defender? Okay, so wait. So tell me your team again. So it's Dani Alves. Who else?
Dani Alves, Ronaldinho, Neymar, R9, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Now,
Dani Alves can
Starch. In those five players that you named, not one of them I would say is quality at tackling or a competent defender.
Who's tackling them? Nobody can tackle these guys I named. You're not stopping them in five-a-side. You're not touching the ball. I'm sorry. Nobody's touching the ball.
Yeah, but Starch, just by a law of averages, the opposition will get the ball at some point. At some point, the opposition will get the ball. And when they get the ball, how do you expect Neymar, Ronaldinho, or Dani Alves to tackle these dudes?
I've got a plan. Tactical fouling. That's our defensive plan. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Dani Alves cannot defend to save his life. I'm just saying that.
Oh no. Okay, no. All right. Okay. I'm in shock, but that is your team and so forth, and it's just down to the people in the live chat to give their views on that. But Stodge, you have shocked me, bro. But look, it is what it is. You have a plan.
Have fun. Don't select the goalkeeper. Come on, guys. Goalkeeper.
So you don't have a keeper?
Why? It's boring. They've got no skills.
No. So Stodge, you're giving me a five-a-side team with no keeper and no quality defender.
Bro, I'm not selecting a guy that has zero skills. I'm sorry. These goalkeepers I've never seen them even do a step over. That's how garbage they are at dribbling. Well, you kick side to side. Well done. I mean, and you rush sometimes to make a tackle. They're not that good on the ball.
Well, this dude says do you have schizophrenia? This dude says you have schizophrenia. Do you have schizophrenia?
No.
All right, cool. Red Devil Studio, give us your five-a-side, bro. Hopefully you have a keeper.
I mean, I actually started on a Manchester United five-a-side, and then I was like, oh, it's actually all of time, so it's actually a lot harder. So I wouldn't have other them. But so, as someone who's played five-a-side quite, I know there's a lot of like technical, but I know you have to be good on the ball. But for me, from my experience of playing five-a-side, I feel that communication and also being a presence is also quite important. So my keeper actually is Oliver Kahn. Actually, he's my keeper. He wasn't necessarily the greatest keeper, but if we're talking about a keeper, like especially keepers back in the day that literally just yelled at their defense, got them into position. Somewhere, I think that's very, very important in five-a-side when you have to have like actually good communication. And because the pitch is so small, people need to know where they are. So for me, Khan is in goal. Then I think my defender would be Yap Stam, actually, for that same reason. Not that I think Maldini is more talented, but I feel that in those two positions, you need people that can communicate well and can yell at people to do their jobs, because that's a common thing in five-a-side, in my opinion. In front of them, I would have like the maestro that is Pirlo, actually. I'd have Andrea Pirlo. So just deep playing, but obviously creating things and like, passing in front that can, create things that people can't obviously see, and break defense down with his excellent passing. Alongside him, I'd have Zinedine Zidane, one of the best, obviously, attacking midfielders of all time. And then in front, I would have R9.
So repeat the team again.
So Kahn, Oliver Kahn, Yap Stam, Pirlo, Zidane, and R9. Ronaldo R9.
So now my thing though is Stam is a quality defender. Who else is going to help him do the tackling? That's my issue there, because the rest of the players you've mentioned are not great at tackling. Now they're great on the ball and they're great at attacking. On moving forward, they're not really quality in helping Stam in attack. And also my thing with Stam is, do you have confidence that with him on the ball when he has the ball though?
Do I have confidence when he? Do I have Well, I feel the fact that you have Khan in goal, for me, a lot of it comes from the fact that like I would trust Khan so much in goal to be able to communicate to the rest of the team. Because bear in mind, obviously, a five-a-side pitch is nowhere near as big as like an 11-a-side pitch, so it's not like like on a standard 11-a-side we have to communicate. You can't communicate to the strikers that are like meters and meters ahead, so they'll be there. So I feel like having Khan in goal, that actually helps with the communication. So, and Stam's role is basically just essentially to be an enforcer. So I don't necessarily think that if Stam and Khan do what they're supposed to do, I don't necessarily think you need to even worry about the fact that Pirlo, for example, cannot tackle as much as other midfielders, if that makes any sense. I was torn between Pirlo and Kante, I'm not going to lie. And you could probably
wait, Pirlo and who?
Kante, like Pete Kante at Leicester City. So, but I just felt that I think sometimes in five-a-side, like it's really nice when you have that player that can just pick the right pass. Like doesn't necessarily go forward. Like they usually stay quite far, but they can pick an excellent pass that just cuts through any defense, and R9's in straight away, So in that way, that you're not actually committing a lot of people. Like the games I played where like you're maybe you're on the cosh, you're like down 4-0 on something, and rather than just everyone just going forward to chase the thing, someone makes an excellent pass, cuts through, you get a goal, and you do it again, and that way you're still able to defend well, but you've got that player that can create something, so you still got enough people back to defend. So yeah, that's my team.
Okay, so guys, send in questions now, because I've got a few questions for the panel myself, but send in your questions in the live chat and I'll pick out some good questions for us to discuss. So send in the questions to the live chat, send in those questions. So here's my question for you guys, and keeping with the whole five-a-side theme. Let's say 11-a-side didn't exist. So all that existed in football was five-a-side, and five-a-side was the only thing that existed. And we were living with, and so let's say just from the beginning of time, all that happened was five-a-side, but we still had all of these same players. Who would we regard as the greatest footballer of all time if this was based purely on five-a-side? So think about that now. Think about that. Who would be regarded as the greatest player of all time if football was played five-a-side? So I'll go first. For me, and this is if you put players at their peak. Players at their peak. Who do you regard as the greatest? For me, I feel that it would it would be a toss-up. It would be a toss-up between it would be a toss-up between Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Zidane. It would be a toss-up between Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Zidane. And if I had to pick, because I can't just pick three, I think it would be Ronaldinho. I think it would be Ronaldinho. I think Ronaldo may probably get one of the most goals based on what he'd be able to do. But I do think that if football was played as five-a-side, I just think the kinds of things that Dinier would do. So a combination of the goals he would score, the assists he would have, and the kinds of things he would be able to do on a five-a-side pitch, I just don't think anybody would come close. I just think he would do things that would just be on a whole other level. And I don't think anybody would be able to be as good as he would be as five-a-side just based on his crazy technical ability. And I think one of the most underrated players in five-a-side would probably be like a Dennis Bergkamp.
Okay, yeah.
Who I would argue is one of the most technically gifted players of all time. He's one of the most gifted players of all time. So my vote would be, I think it would be Ronaldinho. But Ronaldo, R9, and Zidane would be very close. See, Neymar, I would want to put him in there, but I think Neymar is too weak physically. And I think because Neymar is too weak physically, he'd get very easily pushed around.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't be able to have the kind of impact. Because I think Neymar can... Actually, no, I was going to say that Neymar doesn't have the skill set of a Dinier. But guys, peak R9 was different. So, Christ, what about you? Who would be the main dude for you?
You know what, Double H, man? I'm not even kidding. I was thinking of Ronaldinho before I even said it, man. And it's just because, it's because he's, the most skillful player I've ever seen in my lifetime. And, I R9 did play when I was alive and, in my lifetime, but I never really saw him play at his peak, unless you want to count YouTube and stuff. But in terms of what I watch, man, I think Ronaldinho is definitely, because, he's the most skillful player that I've ever seen. What he can do with the ball at his feet was insane to see. And I think that in five-a-side, it would really benefit him, like you said, because the type of goals he would score, the creativity, the roulettes, the turns, the ball retention, everything, and his ball control and everything. I just think he would benefit the most in playing in five-a-side because of how skillful he was as a player. But I definitely do think, I agree with you that R9 and Zidane are also in the conversation. R9 based on his individual brilliance of being able to score goals and, how technical he was with the ball at his feet. And Zidane because of how he can carry the ball, his ball control, everything about him as a player. But I think I'd give it to Ronaldinho, man, just slightly because of all the things, I said. And obviously what you said.
All right.
Yeah.
Peter Gonzalez, what about you?
I think I'm gonna go a bit left field here because I'm gonna guess that everyone's main answer is gonna be Ronaldinho. So I'm actually gonna go and say someone different. I'm gonna say I'll say Luis Suarez. I think he'd be even more highly regarded than he is now if it was five-a-side, because I actually think practically the whole of South America know how to play five-a-side football. We all know how to play because we have to play on the streets. So I think someone like Suarez, who's so amazing on an 11-a-side pitch with his nutmegs, his dribbling, his skills, put him on a five-a-side, he would probably either be the same or even better. Whereas some of the great strikers of our generation, so like Alan Shearer, I think on a five-a-side pitch they'd be absolutely shocking. They wouldn't even make it. They wouldn't even make it as professional footballers. So
hey, look, relax, man. Come on, man.
no, true, they wouldn't. Like someone like a Ruud van Nistelrooy would make it because he's great at tap-ins, so he'd be on the end of stuff. But someone like Alan Shearer, Dzeko, I can't think of anyone else. But yeah, Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney too. They wouldn't make it as footballers.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So I think that someone like Luis Suarez, I think if it was five-a-side throughout the whole time, he'd be one of the top 10 players of all time, without question, without.
Okay. That's an interesting take to have. All right. LB, what about you? Who do you go for as who do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say someone different. Someone in my team, of course. I'm going to choose Robin. Someone who has been at times criticised as being selfish. I think he would sort of suit a team of 5 people perfectly. Someone who can run the opposition quite ragged with his pace as well, going back and forth. And I think his dribbling skills is something that he can also use to his advantage in a 5-a-side game. And as I said, his pace and his selfishness and just trying to sort of take on the whole field by himself and finishing off those goals with his left foot. Yeah, I'll choose Robin.
All right. Sanmaya, who do you go for?
I'll go with Robin.
All right. Why Robin?
Oh, because he can. So when the team is trying to counterattack, he's like the best. I could use his pace. He can dribble so well. He can like be in the flanks. He can be in the middle. He can basically do everything, and his left foot would be very important.
Okay. Terra.
Yeah, I was thinking Ronaldinho in the end, basically for the same reasons as were already there. The great skill set, technical ability, ball control, dribbling, first touch, all those kinds of things. Just like again, like yeah, the kinds of goals and assists and passes he'd be making. Like yeah, I'd say it'd be Ronaldinho. Like the guy, in terms of his skill set, his overall ability is just something else. And shifting the conversation a bit here, honestly, I think that if he had a longer peak, like talking just normally, like in terms of normal football, talking about that, if he had like a longer peak, I honestly think he would be considered by more people as the greatest of all time if he had a longer peak in 11-a-side football.
No. Look, that's the only thing that people hold against him is that he just didn't have a long enough peak. But what I'll always push back is like, okay, he didn't have a long enough peak, but when he was at his best, I don't know many players that did what he did.
Exactly. That's
So-
my point. Like the guy had that ability set that was just something else. Simple as that. Like
Okay.
so, yeah.
Rodrigo, your 5-a-side.
So even though I didn't put him in my team, I'll have to agree with you and say Ronaldinho. The reason why I didn't put him in my team is because I started watching in 2008, and that was already the beginning of his downfall. But yeah, I think it has to be a Brazilian, to be honest. And Ronaldinho is the most technical player that I've ever seen on YouTube videos, or overall. But and it also 5-a-side is meant for more of an attacking player, so that's why I believe that it has to be Ronaldinho, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Jamal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little left field. I was gonna say Hakim Benatef, but I'll say Robinho
What?
because Robinho.
Oh, Robinho.
Yeah, Robinho. Yeah, guys, I think you forget Robinho when he got to Real Madrid. That guy was talented. So when he really make it is his mentality. But if you say 5-a-side, it's just for skills. Guys, I think on skills level, I think Robinho is up there with Ronaldinho. That's the thing. But yeah, that's my pick.
Well, look, it's your choice, so I'm not going to argue with it. But even if Robinho fulfilled his potential, I don't think he's seeing or coming close to Ronaldinho. But look, it's fair enough. Fair enough. That's your pick, man. Starch, who are you going with?
I'm going for R9, El Phenomenal. I mean, kids, you have to watch this guy. Between 95 and 99, this dude's dribbling skills was out of this world. The shimmies. I'm telling you now, okay, Ronaldinho is more skillful, but I'm going to die on this. Ronaldo, R9, in his peak, is a better dribbler. On the floor, when the ball is on the floor and you make quick moves, I've never seen a player make 3 moves at once, beat 2 defenders. I mean, it's him, and he's 2-footed. He can shoot from anywhere. You can't stop him. He has every move in his arsenal. When the ball is on the floor, he could just come up with anything. When it's on the floor, I'm going with R9. It's just a different animal. Strength, pace, everything.
Before I come to Red Devil Studio, man, I mean, I don't know. Starch has me thinking.
Bro,
Because
prime.
you see, because like people forget about Prime R9. Because whenever we think of Ronaldo, people just sort of, okay, yeah, that Prime R9, but people really focus more on like when he won the World Cup in '02 and everything. So the reason why Prime R9 makes it a more difficult situation is that R9 is scoring more goals than Ronaldinho. So R9 is dribbling as much as Ronaldinho is. He is technically just as good. And I would say as well, if you watch it, R9 is probably one of the most effective, best dynamic dribblers I think we've ever seen in terms of technical execution of complex dribbles. So it's probably. I mean, it could be Prime R9, man. It could be Prime R9. Okay, but look, let me go. So Red Devil, who are you going with, man?
I mean, I'll actually go one of the players that I picked before, because I get that everyone is talking about almost like individual brilliance, but I feel like the player that I choose is for the betterment of the team, and I'm going to go with Pirlo again. You know, because
No.
you know, but it's because if you're thinking of individual brilliance, but I'm thinking of when I looked at Pirlo, it's not that he is the most skillful player, but it's just like his like ability to sort of create chances, his ability to pick an eye out of the needle and to pass, to create things players. I just think would be so ideal in five-a-side. You know, so yes, of course, I don't disagree with what anyone has said in that Ronaldinho is a better dribbler, that Ronaldo is good finishing, but I think in five-a-side, like, especially when you know that someone does have that skill, eventually at some point they will just mark that person out of the game. If you just have somebody who can just sort of just dribble and who's really good, and so they'll just mark the person out of the game or foul them or hurt them, whatever. But if you've got a guy who can actually create something out of nothing, pick an eye, throw a needle for everyone in your team, then suddenly your whole team is a lot better than just relying on that one individual to perform. That's why, for me, I think Pirlo are better. Thanks, Christ. I appreciate that. So for me, Pirlo for the betterment of the whole team, you know. So I say he's a good shout.
You know, I mean, no, look, I mean, I'm one of the biggest Pirlo fans out there, you know. So, and I think that
same here.
Yeah, we have to look beyond just skill. So I think Pirlo will definitely be up there in terms of what he could do and how he'd pretty much be able to help the team as a whole, man. But I think it's a tough one. You know, it's a tough one because I think peak R9 was something different, bro. You know, peak R9 was something different, bro. So actually, so let's just take some questions now from the crowd and let's just see what guys are gonna roll with. So what's the next big change in football that you think will happen? Now, this always scares me because I don't actually want any changes to football. I really do not want any changes to football that will happen. But I'm going to go beyond just the rulings of the game because I think, one of the big things was obviously them bringing in VAR. But I believe, and I don't want this to happen, but I think it's bound to happen based on where the world is going. I really believe that we're going to have a Super League. Now, I don't know when that's going to happen or when the timeline will be, but I do believe that especially with what has happened with this whole COVID situation and so forth, and the money that's being lost, the fact that Amazon have already dipped their toe into the water of the Premier League and seen how lucrative it is, whether it's a Netflix or an Amazon or another streaming device or so forth, or maybe an independent streaming device, they will say, you guys can make so much money of creating a Super League. And I feel that something will happen. Maybe it's this, but there's going to be a certain catalyst that will force the big teams to secede from the so-called leagues, and club football as we know it will change forever. And the issue is this, is that as much as people will be angry and so forth and everything, the only language that anyone speaks is money. And when you look at all of these fans, we call them fanboys, people on social media, the younger people, They want to see the best people play the best team. So these guys who follow their player and are happy to hop from team to team and so forth, they'd be happy. So you would still have the audience. And so these big clubs will say, well, look, we have the audience, we have the numbers, we'll make the money. This is going to be good for us. So it's going to be controversial, but I do feel that that's going to be the big change. Is the big teams are going to leave the leagues, and the leagues may still stay as they are, but I think you just have the top 6-7 teams form their own super league with their own TV company where they take 100% of all of the TV money, TV rights, and everything, and they're just going to, because these guys, they want to make more money. So yeah, I believe that's going to be the big change. So Christ, what do you think the next big change in football is going to be?
The next big change will probably be, I would say maybe some rules based on like maybe. I think it would help if we had a rule on transfer budget. I think that would be really helpful because I think it's too inflated these days, man. All the big clubs are spending big money on players, and it's not helping the small clubs, like, you know. And I think I would love to see that change and happen, but I don't really think of a specific one besides the Super League one. But I hope that there can be more balance in the transfer window because, like, it only makes football better, man. Like, these days we have too many selling clubs, man. Like, they have stars and they'll just sell them out to the big clubs. And I think that it is good if you're a fan of a big club, obviously, like Juve, Barca, Madrid, Bayern. But I think I'm just saying in general for perspective, football world, man. As a footballing neutral fan, it's just a lot better when the prices in the market are more fair and everybody can have the same amount. I know it's kind of like a dream more than a reality that could happen, but that's one thing I'd love to see. But what I do think would happen is the Super League. I think that's really likely because there's just too many big clubs with way more money. And I think that, you know, especially leagues like the Bundesliga, Serie A, it's been dominated by, like, you know, Bayern.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that because, and, you know, in Liga with PSG. So I think it's going to happen, man. I think so. I agree with you that it's going to happen. But yeah, I obviously don't want it to happen. But
No, of course.
we'll see,
no. Yeah. All right, LB, what about you? What do you think the next big change will be?
Personally, I think we're all going to experience the biggest change in 2022 when Qatar hosts the FIFA World Cup. Obviously, this time around it's going to be held in the winter, which, if I'm correct, is the first time the FIFA World Cup's ever going to be hosted during the winter. Apparently, their winter is about 35 to 40 degrees Celsius still. I know a lot of people and players and maybe even countries aren't too happy with the idea of taking a break from, or a club break, and taking on international duty during the winter. But I suppose some can argue that it's something different. But personally, I think that,
Okay, so do you think that we're going to see more Winter World Cups and FIFA pushing for other countries around Qatar to host it, and we'll then see more Winter World Cups take place? Or do you think this is just like a one-off?
I suppose it all comes down to how well Qatar do as a host nation. Obviously, there's a fair bit of money that's coming out of that country as well, and they're investing quite a bit on the stadiums, which, to be honest, they look quite posh and pretty cool. But you know, if you're getting players who are just breaking down with cramps and just experiencing heat stroke, and fans who just can't bear to be in a stadium which is, 35 to 40 degrees Celsius, then I don't think they'll have too many World Cups in the Middle East after 2022. But then again, it might be a hit. They might do really well, and they might make a lot of money out of it. And you know what FIFA's like, guys. Just a little bit of money and how they can, change things. And yeah.
Okay. San Maya, what do you think the next big change is going to be?
I think it's probably going to be the Super League. Sorry, Super League.
Okay. Speak on it.
Yeah, like just to have more uh like tournaments between like different leagues, like the German, like the best German team playing against like the best Premier League team or the best Serie A team, just to have more competition.
Okay, all right. Rodrigo, what about you? What do you think the next big change is going to be?
All right. So I think when you want to look at the future of sports like football, you really have to look at how American sports have it. Um, and I think one of the things that we're going to be seeing in the upcoming future is kind of adding more of a timeout, or when players are being subbed in, or like regulating time wasting. So, and I believe they already started talking about it, where now when a player is going to get subbed off, they're going to pause the time so that the players can't, take their time and walk off slowly. But yeah, I was trying to shoot for something different, so that's what I came up with.
Okay, so because I think you were touching upon something interesting, which is what I'm referring, because you said timeouts, and I say that, and this will cause a revolt, that you may see ad breaks in football matches. So what you might see is how you have it in the NBA and so forth, where they may now try and force, because like what ad companies are praying for is like, how the hell can I get my adverts during an injury break of the Champions League final, or
Mhm.
during an injury break or the World Cup final? Because yeah, it's all cool doing it in a halftime, but imagine if when millions upon millions are watching, you have the biggest audience over any other sports thing. How can I get my ad during like the 15th minute when everybody's guys eyes are glued to the screen of the CL final? Because once that happens, then you will have ad companies bidding billions just to get that small little spot of getting their ad in. And I think, because see, now that'll be cool, because I think what makes football beautiful is it's always free flowing, and you don't have all those crappy ad breaks like you have during like a Super Bowl or an NBA thing. So that may be a thing mixed in with the whole timeout thing as well. All right, Starch, what do you think the next thing is going to be?
Okay, so the next thing, first I'm going to tell you what I want to happen, right? I want, and then I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. But I want them to get rid of FFP. FFP has created the biggest monopoly in football. They said that it was going to save football. It's ruined football. Look at all the other leagues apart from the Premier League, where most clubs are rich because of TV rights. Look at what it's done to listen, Bundesliga before FFP, different clubs used to win it every year. Since FFP's been around, it's only been what do you call it?
Bayern Munich.
It's only been Bayern. In Italy, it's only been Juventus. Anytime AC Milan try to buy players, try to get up, they get hit with the FFP fine. How is that in any way fair? All that's doing is just creating a monopoly in football for a few clubs and ruining it. And in fact, another reason, just a personal reason, is I want to see what exactly, if we got rid of FFP, what exactly could the Saudi owners do? Because when I was looking at their worth, it said 260 billion. Now I'm thinking, I mean, I've seen money. I mean, there's rich owners, but I've never seen money like this. I'm thinking, what could these guys do? But what I think is going to happen is before the Super League, and something they're talking about is what a lot of these big clubs, these greedy clubs, let's call them what they are, greedy clubs at the top. What they want is they're clubs like Arsenal, clubs like Liverpool, Man United, all of them. What they're thinking is they think now they have a right to get into the Champions League. We shouldn't fight for the Champions League. There should be a competition where we could just get in. So instead of going straight to the Super League, what they want to do is is something similar to UEFA, but instead of it being actually earned, it just gets rewarded to the big clubs. That's what they're going to go for, I think, next before the Super League.
Wait, So wait, what do you mean by rewarded to the big club? So
you know, like how to get in the Champions League, you earn it by getting to the top 4 or top 3 in whatever league you are. What they're saying now is forget about all the crap leagues. So just make it the 4 big leagues, and just make it the biggest clubs. We don't have to earn it. Make sure we always get in. They have like they're going to have a certain number of clubs that get in, like let's just say 18 or something.
Okay, so
And then
basically, like it's like what you have in the NBA.
yeah. And then they're going to have
relegation,
and then,
promotion.
No, none of that. They think they deserve because they're big. They make more money, and they get more people to watch it. They have bigger audiences, and then just behind them is like the waiting list. From what I read, is 2 clubs, which is Dortmund and Tottenham. They're on the waiting list because they're just not big enough yet. But the rest, and this is just pure greed. I mean, listen, could you imagine? How can you say we shouldn't have to earn something? Just reward it to us because we're so big. We make so much money.
But this is what people, because I see some people in the chat saying, "Oh, a Super League will never work." Now, people don't understand is that money rules. Money rules.
Listen,
we are heading it because all that matters is how much money can be made. Club football. I know you guys want to feel like if it's about being loyal and I'm loyal, it's all about loyalty. No, it's not about loyalty. Club football is not about loyalty. It's about making money. And players are here to try and make as much money as they can. And these football clubs and everything, they're businesses. You may live in your bubble thinking that, oh no, my club is about the heritage. They care about the fans and they care about, that's their front. But in reality, like, bro, this is the biggest sport in the world with the most incredible consumer base you can think of. Why do you think these Saudis and people are getting themselves into football? Because they say, no, this is an amazing business. If I'm a businessman, you want to get into football, and it's still growing. It's already huge, but it's still the consumer loyalty of football is insane, and the amount of money you can earn from these hardcore football fans is insane. So they say, wait a minute, this is a conception. A rich man always wants to be even more rich. There's never a rich man who is satisfied with as much money as he has. Let's Bill Gates talk all he wants. Bill Gates still wants to be even richer. Okay, Bill Gates wants to be a calcillionaire. So don't get me on that stuff. But looking, it's bound to happen, man. I mean,
can I make a point? The reason why I want to get rid of FFP and what's allowing these teams to come up with a super team idea is, as much as clubs try to hide it or try to make the manager big, etc., like that, the biggest assets in football are players. And what FFP have allowed to happen is all the great teams, the traditionally great teams, get the best players. Whereas before, teams like Man City could pop up and they could almost break what the Big 7 or Big 10 in Europe were. Now it's created this thing where it can never be broken, and it's got to the point where some traditionally big teams, such as AC Milan, can't even get in back through the door.
True.
So the FFP is not good, man. How does it benefit other teams?
Okay,
it benefits the smaller teams though. Like, I mean, like I see what you're saying, Starch, but there are teams that, like, when you look at like the Buries and various teams, that because owners they just go from one owner to the next, and there's no guarantee that owner has actually enough money, or the company, whatever, has enough money to keep the club surviving. What ends up happening is that club ends up going bust or into administration, and that obviously causes problems for the club and also the community as well. So I'm not saying that FFP is perfect. What I'm saying is that the theory behind FFP was the idea that, like, a club should not be outspending what they're bringing in. And if suddenly an owner decides, as has happened with a lot of lower league teams, because we're talking about Premier League, Bundesliga teams, but I'm thinking about a lot of the lower league teams, because that's actually where a lot of the effect happens. That they go, the owners swap, they sell, whatever, and then before you know it, those lower league teams end up in administration, end up struggling, and you end up like a Bury situation where the club no longer exists anymore. So that's kind of what the purpose was for. But I appreciate that it's been exploited and it's not working at the higher level.
Yeah.
No. I mean, because FFP was really cool and noble to begin with, but eventually it was like, yeah, because these guys are clowns. Really, it's like, even when they came through, I was like, okay, are you really going to tell these massive clubs with these huge amounts of money what to do? No, you're not. Because as we saw from FIFA and everyone is crooked, and everybody is getting that cash under the flipping table. So there isn't a flipping Robin Hood character who's like, oh no, we are here for the integrity of the sport. Yeah, whatever. Because everybody's those FFP guys, they're getting paid under the flipping table, man. All right. Wait. So okay. Wait. Let me just go to Jamal. Joe Jamal. Next big change in football that you think will happen?
Yeah. Yeah, this is what I want to happen. I want a new card to be introduced into football because nothing annoy you more when you're whole day you're saying yes, big game, big game. You have your popcorn ready, you have your food ready, you have everything ready. As soon as the game starts, 5 minutes in, two players clash off heads, they do the headbutt, red card, and the game is ruined. So to me, I would like a orange card or something. Like you're still getting a 3 match ban, but you can like stay in the game. So I know it didn't happen, but I would like a next card to get into this because red cards people getting sent off for real harsh things these days. So yeah, I would like a new card in the game.
Hmm.
Wait. So is it that you? So did you say that you want a cap in player?
No, a new card,
Orange card or something.
Oh, orange.
orange card, new card. Yeah.
Oh, man, I like red and yellow, man.
Yeah, but it doesn't annoy you sometimes when it's a big game and then 5 minutes in players get sent off. The game doesn't like get ruined. But if you have like an orange card, you could still get a 3 game ban, but like you could finish the game.
Okay, no, okay, true. I mean, okay, I suppose so. But for me, I think it's more a case of referees just need to be better. It's like that Arsenal game against Barcelona, the 2006 Champions League final, and
Yeah.
he even admitted his mistake that, bro, all you needed to do was allow Barcelona to score, go up 1-0, but it's still 11v11, and we still have a great game. So,
Yep.
so that in hindsight, so I think it's rather than introducing an orange card, I just think referees just need to review their games. They just need to do better jobs, bro. So Rodrigo, have you spoken on this?
What was the question?
Look? It's right there. What's the next big change in football that you think will happen?
Oh yeah. I said about the timeouts and
Oh
uh,
yeah. All right. So Red Devil, what about you? What's the next big change that you think will happen?
So I think I actually don't think the Super League will happen. Just a quick point. I actually think more likely we'll just end up having more competitions. I think that's the direction that we're going down in terms of just
Wait. Another competition?
as in just there'll be like more. I feel like there'll be more like already now. Like obviously the women's game will get better. Will get better. And there'll be more competitions there. Then obviously you've got the FIFA Club World Cup is expanding to like. I think that's going to be a thing from next year, and then I suspect that they'll like increase the number. I think they were even talking about like another type of Europa League, like Europa League 2. That's also I think in the works as well. So I just feel like
Yeah, I heard that.
rather than like a Super League, I think you're more likely going to just see more competitions featuring more teams because you're right, it is all about money. But that's why I think there'll be more competitions because they're like, hey, wait a minute, we can get more teams in now, and more teams means obviously more exposure for those teams, which means more fans, which means more money, etc., and just get more teams involved.
But the thing Red Devil does that you will make, because remember, Champions League and these competitions, the money is split between the UEFA and the teams. But if let's say Juventus, Man United, Bayern Munich, PSG, Liverpool, they go to Amazon, and Amazon say, bro, you know that deal that you keep getting from UEFA, we're going to give you a big, because look, Amazon, we're already huge. Amazon are way more wealthy than UEFA are. So we'll give you, so let's say, so UEFA have been giving you what, 30%? We're going to give you 60%, and we're going to take 40%. And you're going to be earning millions upon millions, much more than we've been earning all these years.
I get that, but I think that they would. It's not like Amazon would be able to sort of create a new, like it would have to kind of go through the proper channels regarding actually creating like some sort of type of league. Like I don't think Amazon could just sort of say, right, we're gonna sort of do this thing, create like a, you know what I mean? Like I'm not sure whether it's even allowed. Like as far as I'm like, they can purchase rights, but I don't know whether they can like create a new kind of system and just sort of invite big sort of teams to go for. I imagine there's like a process that they have to sort of follow. But that isn't actually my thing for the future. I actually agree. so just quick 2 points. One with actually Jamal, that I actually generally think that there's a possibility that a third card come in, like an orange card type of thing might come in the future. But rather than a free match, I actually think it might be almost like goes back to the ad thing, like a timeout. It's almost like
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
like 10, 15 minutes out of the game, then comes back on. Because you have that in rugby already, sort of, where like sin bin sort of thing. They're out for a bit and then they sort of come back in later. And then the other thing, just lastly, is technology-wise, I think that especially with the way that the likes of virtual reality and AI are going along and how the technology is really picking up the pace, I think that you're going to see in the next maybe 10 to 20 years, virtual reality really making a big show in football. And I think that from the fans' point of view, actually experiencing the game, putting on your headset or whatever it is that they create, and not necessarily being at the stadium potentially, but actually really experiencing the stadium from your own home. I think that might be a major change from the fans' perception of the game. And I think that might be like your sort of next big thing, virtual reality in the game, definitely.
But in what sense, where fans view the matches differently?
Yeah.
Or...
So in the sense that like because I suspect that like what people want is they want people like just imagine the company that can basically simulate the experience that people get by being in the stadium, like the exact from the comfort of their own home. Like just even thinking from around the world, like you've got like as a United fans in China, India, put on your headset and suddenly you're in Old Trafford and it is so real. As soon as someone is able to perfect that technology, and I think we're close, the amount of money that would go towards some of that would be absolutely
wait. Okay, so my thing is, so are you saying that it would be you're in virtual reality of a simulated game, or you're in a virtual reality Old Trafford of an actual game that's being played?
Yeah, a virtual. I mean, it could be both potentially. So I think from a gaming point of view, like the likes of FIFA, PES, and stuff like that, might potentially go down that line. So that'd be the simulated sort of version of it. But from a actual game point of view, I think it'd be more of actually being at the game as it's being played, being a part of the atmosphere. I think that would certainly.
That'd be crazy.
I think the only big worry about that, which would obviously make a change, would be the fact that would you have a scenario where people would now stop going to stadiums because they can obviously experience that feeling.
No. But then you've now hit on a great point, and this is where we now bring in Blockbuster and Netflix, because, and this is even more so for this, is that the regular man can't afford to go to these matches anymore. The season tickets are too expensive. The regular tickets are too expensive. And especially with the way that the economy is not going to be going in the future, people just don't have the money to be going to these stadiums. So if for a much more affordable price, you can give people the feeling of being in a virtual, because again, that's how business works. You have to undercut your competition. So if the virtual company says, no, this is for a cheaper price and a more affordable price, we can give, because again, the mindset is if you're a businessman, you're like, all right, it's £40 for a ticket to go to this thingy. We're gonna so for this device, we're gonna give you, it's gonna be £5 each month. And that's nothing. But now £5 each month for like millions of people is going to recoup more money than £40 for like the thousands of people that can afford that ticket. So once you now have that, you're going to just see what's happened when Netflix destroyed Blockbuster, because the technology has been able to give people something that they're able to have. So yeah, no, that is interesting. Now this is a really cool one. What Wonderkid did you think would be world-class flopped? So while you guys are thinking, let me go for this one, man. And this has to be one of the biggest unfortunate stories. I still feel that Germany has never truly produced a truly world-class, amazing, talented player. Outfield player. I think some may argue that Germany have produced the greatest goalkeeper of all time. But we'll have to see what happens when Neuer retires. But I think Neuer, he's already in the conversation as the greatest goalkeeper of all time. But in terms of an outfield player, Germany has never really produced that kind of, whether it's a Dino, Pele, Ronaldo, or so forth. But when Mario Götze scored that World Cup winning goal in 2014, I was like, boom, this is the moment that Germany now have their guy. And this is what's going to be the next huge superstar, and so forth. And I remember saying that Bayern Munich is Bayern really the team he wants to go for and everything, but I still feel like if a guy that can score a goal like that in a World Cup final, this is the next dude. But injuries was one thing. I think Bayern Munich under Pep was another thing. He just didn't fit into the system. He wasn't played enough. And I think it's so unfortunate that a guy that did that in our World Cup final and was so talked about and was so amazing for Dortmund didn't really go on to really become one of the best players in the world and a truly world-class guy. See, like people will say Balotelli, but for me, Balotelli is the greatest disappointment and the greatest wasted talent of all time. But I think the guy that one of the people I thought would be world-class, and you see, flopped is the hard word, but I think you have to say he did flop based on what it was. For me, it's Mario Götze. So, Tara, what about yours? Who's yours?
So before I go to the Wonderkid thing, can I just speak on the next big thing happening in football?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay. It'll probably be the Super League, because we've seen across the history of football that the big clubs get more entrenched, more rich, they become more established, and all the other clubs are just increasingly left in the mud. Like if you look at like football decades earlier, like any team had the chance to win the league, any team had the chance to go to Europe. Like it was very open. And then over time, you start having entrenched clubs, big clubs, but you could still break in, maybe not easily, but breaking in was not impossible. Then it became harder and harder to even break in. And with the Super League, it's probably going to kill any ambitious club that wants to break into that sort of elite kind of club. I think so. It's just going to keep entrenching the big clubs more and more. They're going to get more money, more revenues. And
but Sarah, isn't that just the sad story of the world? The rich get richer.
Yeah, basically, that's just it's. I'm not saying I don't think any of us really want it to happen, but that's what's gonna happen. Like inevitably, that's I think an inevitability at this point.
Okay, so sorry, let me just hit some super chats before I let you guys go. So. Says so. As I said, the CL makes billions when United are in the CL. Is this a fact? I mean,
there's probably an element of truth to it. I wouldn't say billions, but there's an element of truth to it, I guess.
I suppose maybe because of the brand that United are and everything.
Exactly.
Now this, the other thing about this is maybe too much swearing, because in rugby you can hear the referees in rugby. And I think in rugby, you can not only hear the referees, but you can also hear the players around the referees. And you see what I've always liked is the referee should be forced to give a post-match press conference after games. I so wish the referee after the 09 CL semi game gave an interview. Just a few questions, like who paid you, how much did they pay? Did the check come through? Was it a check or was it cash? That's all I want to ask. That's all I want to ask, and then just feel free to answer. But yeah, I mean that would be cool. But my thing is that it probably wouldn't happen because there would be far too much swearing. Because for sure, a lot of these players, because see rugby, because I think let me say the thing is that rugby is a thuggish sport played by gentlemen. Football is a gentleman's sport played by thugs. Like there was this kind of saying that it goes, and it's like the kinds of things that footballers would be saying in front of those dudes, it just wouldn't be safe, bro. And from Buddha Sub says that thoughts about away goals being taken off the CL, horrible, stupid. One of the things literally the thing I like the most about the Champions League is the away goal rule. That's amazing. And if you take that away, you literally take away what makes the Champions League special, because the away goal rule it always keeps teams on their toes. It always, that means that you're a goal away from getting knocked out. And this is why I hated when the golden goal was taken away. Because again, this is what my brother even said, that the golden goal is a punishment for you not being able to find a way of winning over 90 minutes. And what the golden goal does is that you may be dominating all the way through, anyone can win now. Anyone can win. And for that team who've been defending through, they know that all we need is a goal. All we need is a goal, and we've won. And the golden goal, because what I love putting people under pressure. So yeah, I think the away goal should definitely get it back. So yeah, so Tara. So who was a wonder kid who he thought would be world class but ended up flopping?
So because I've not been watching football for for like that long to where I could pick out like a bunch of wonder kids who I thought would succeed and flopped. But from my limited experience, I'd say Götze. That was around the time I started watching only. I'd say Götze. I thought he played very well. He was a very good player, but it just didn't seem to work out at Bayern. It just didn't seem to work out. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he just faded away. Simple as that.
All right. LB, what about you? A wonder kid we thought would be good but ended up flopping.
Yeah. Look, I was going to say Mario Götze, but considering that he's been mentioned twice, I would say the 2014 Golden Boot winner, James Rodriguez.
Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, with the tournament which he played in 2014, everyone was, saying that he was also going to be the next big thing, and how he got Colombia into the quarterfinals against Brazil and kicking the goal of the tournament. He was obviously purchased shortly after the tournament by Real Madrid, and from memory, I don't think he had an effective 2014-15 season with Real Madrid. They were defending their UCL title and got knocked out in the semi-finals against Juve, and he obviously tried to almost rejuvenate his career at Bayern Munich. And to be honest, he did fairly well, but I reckon he could have achieved more at Bayern Munich. So he sort of tried another pathway, and obviously now he's back at Real Madrid, back to square one, and he's already 28 years old. So I reckon he's definitely one of those sort of wonder kids who has flopped and certainly underachieved over the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, no. I think James Rodriguez is a really good one and I think that is a perfect example of choosing the wrong team, because I still believe James Rodriguez can still be a very quality number 10, but I just think that Real Madrid, he got played out wide in the wing, and the system just did not suit him. But a guy that was able to do what he did in that 2014 World Cup, I just think should have and could have done so much more as a player, man. Which just shows that if you choose the wrong team or on the wrong club, you can pretty much be screwed. Yeah, that's a good one. Peter Gonzalez, wonder kid who he thought could be amazing but flopped.
So I'm gonna give 2. Second place, I'm gonna give Mesut Ozil, and first place, I'm gonna give Fernando Torres.
Wait,
Ozil's
that's
number
harsh.
2.
That's harsh, man.
Ozil's number 2 because the Ozil I saw at Real Madrid in 2013, he should be considered one of the greatest number 10s of all time. Period.
Wait, he is
But
though.
he went to Arsenal, and he is considered great. But when you've got Giroud missing chances like every single day, you don't get to rack up your stats to show it. Like there's a point where Ozil had 15 assists before the halfway point of the season, and never made it to 20 because of Giroud. And that's because he played at Arsenal. He picked, again, similar to the James Rodriguez situation, he picks the right team. He's then up there with Dennis Bergkamp, in my opinion. That's Ozil's number 2. Number 1 is Fernando Torres, because there was a point in time Fernando Torres was the best striker in the world for 1 season. 1 season only. Then after that, his career went downhill. He left Liverpool, went to Chelsea, and he made the right decision in terms of he has a latest career with trophies.
But was Torres ever a wonder kid? So at Atletico Madrid, were people talking about him as boom? So when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, were people talking about that he could really be the next big thing? Because I think when he went to Liverpool and he had that big season, he was in his midish, earlyish 20s, like maybe 23, 24, 20, 25, or so forth.
I think he was 23 when he moves. That's still considered a young player, like across FIFA, like there's under 23s, isn't it? So I still consider him like he went with a big price tag, and at Liverpool he was living up to the price tag, living up to the expectations. But then he went to Chelsea with even more expectations, and he became like one of the most shocking players of all time. But in terms of his talent that he displayed at the start of his career, again he should be considered one of the best like strikers. Like in 2008, he was on par with David Villa. By 2012, he was David Villa's sideman. So that's
No,
like
no.
how
The
much he
point
dropped.
where Torres was the best 1v1 striker in the world, where if it was 1v1, it's a goal. Boom.
Yeah. So and that was that was the when he was what 24. Not young, that's the middle of his career, but he's now nowhere near top 20, top 30 strikers ever, or even in the last decade.
Look, this dude missed an open goal. That's what I'm gonna say. This dude missed an open goal against Man United, one of the worst misses of all time. Like, and the scary thing about Torres is that
Wait. You know the funny thing is he's actually getting confidence before that miss. That miss actually made it. That miss actually made it worse. He was actually redeeming himself.
Yeah.
So exactly. So Fernando Torres' biggest wonder kid.
The thing about Torres is that like he went from, just as Peter was saying, he went from being one of the best strikers in the world, hands down, to literally being one of the best bricks I've ever seen in recent memory.
Didn't he finish third in the Ballon d'Or in
That's what I was about to say. 08,
yeah,
he
that's
finished
crazy.
third in Ballon d'Or, and now he wouldn't. Yeah, 2008. I remember reading his book.
It was Ronaldo, Messi, and Torres.
Oh my god! Wow.
And then to the depths he fell, I think he's the biggest flop of a career.
You know what I'll say? Maybe this is a different thing. Before I go to Rodrigo, I would argue Torres is probably the biggest fall of a player. I can't think of a greater fall from where you were to where you ended up. I can't think of it. No, I think he's the biggest fall of a player. He is.
He's still got a Champions League, to be fair.
Yeah, that's the career, not the actual player.
And let's be honest. Other than that Drogba goal for Chelsea, Chelsea's second biggest moment is that Torres' second goal against Barca. He's in Chelsea's history books.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
He's always got the biggest moments though. He's always got.
Relax. I have to chill. Just relax.
Also, one more point fact about Torres is that the Spanish dynasty started with him because he scored the win in the 08 final.
Yeah, he did. No, which is why they said like even when they did the because when they won the World Cup and everything, like they did like this whole presentation and everything, and I think who was it? It was Peperina because he had the mic and everything. And Peperina even said that, guys, we all have to give special thanks to Torres who helped start this dominance with him scoring the winning goal in Euro 08. So yeah, so that's the. So wait, before I go to Rodrigo. A lot of guys are saying Freddie Adu. Now, I don't know about you guys.
Who the hell is that?
For 1 second, did I think Freddie Adu was a wonder kid? Because this was the biggest media hype job of all time.
Yeah, it was.
Because I said, wait a minute. First of all, who is this dude? He plays in America. If you haven't proven yourself, like R9, Neymar, and all these other dudes have done in Europe, who gives you the right to call yourself a wonder kid? Because you're doing
Americans
in thingy. So yeah, no, I never bought that crap. And Sarge was never a wonder kid, bro. He was never.
Wait, he was the next Cristiano.
He was never a wonder kid.
Come on.
He was never a wonder kid. He was never.
Didn't he have the number 7 shirt at Man United?
So
I don't know. He had. I'm not
sure.
No,
he didn't. He didn't have the number. He didn't have the number 7 shirt. The only numbers people to wear number 7 shirt have been Di Maria, Memphis, and Sanchez.
What about Valencia?
Wait, Valencia too. Valencia first got it when Ronaldo left. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Alex. Yeah.
It's okay. Rodrigo, you're wonder kid who flopped for you.
Yeah. So I was actually gonna give a lot of names like Robinho. He could have potentially been the biggest wonder kid flop.
Yes,
because he was even named the prodigy by Pele.
Mm.
But I feel like the Premier League has a lot. Like you could say Lukaku. Honestly, I expected Lukaku to be a lot better than what he turned out to be. I could even say no. I'm just giving out names. I'm just giving out names.
Rodrigo, no,
But
I don't care whether you're giving out names. Now, Rodrigo, was Lukaku ever considered a wonder kid
well, he was expected to be
to be
like
what? Teams?
Drogba's. No, he was expected to be Drogba's prodigy. So like
By who?
Chelsea.
the Chelsea fans.
He was Chelsea product.
FG shush.
I mean, it's not hard to replace 8 goals a season.
Yeah, but all right, and then let me just finish my list.
Guys, man.
I honestly thought Anthony Martial will be a lot better than what he is, but
Hey, okay. Please don't say Martial. Please don't. Please
I
don't.
I expected him to be. I expected like they compared him next to Terry Henry, to be honest. Like they said,
Okay, no, go on. That's okay. Go
okay,
ahead.
okay. Yeah, but I'll finish. But like for me, even though he was already set out, I would say it was Ozil. Ozil was my favorite player in Madrid, and like he was considered to be the second best player under Ronaldo, and you're talking about a team that had Sergio Ramos, Casillas, Marcelo, Modric, Xabi Alonso, and even I mean Gareth Bale was Ozil was there for like 2 weeks when Gareth Bale was there. But anyways, yeah, I'll say Ozil for me was the biggest flop because he needed he needed Ronaldo, well Cristiano Ronaldo, and Mourinho to be great, and he couldn't find that in Arsenal.
Okay, so basically, before I even give my comments on Ozil, my thing is let me briefly touch on Martial. Martial's career hasn't finished yet, and I don't think that we can come out and unequivocally say that Martial has flopped. We simply can't. Now he's sort of dipped a little bit from the guy that we saw at Monaco and his first few seasons for Man United. So I don't think that we can put Martial in the same kind of Mario Götze pool or James Rodriguez pool where these guys have like, look, it's over. Like it's finished. Like they're not going to get up. I think.
Wait, can I say a future name? Sorry to interrupt you, but can I say a future? Yeah, I honestly think Vinicius is not going to work out, and I give him one more season.
Vinicius is from the road, bro. Okay, the guy's from the road.
Like he's not smart with the ball, and he constantly makes the wrong decisions, and I don't even think he's made an appearance for Brazil yet. But yeah, I think sooner or later he's gonna be loaned out of Madrid, and it's gonna be another Robinho story. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know my issue with this statement here is Ozil had 19 assists with Giroud up front. So this statement obviously means that Giroud is that look at how crap Giroud is at Ozil mentioned 19 assists. My thing is that can you please show me footage of what these assists are? Because in Sol's Giroud all he wants. Sometimes some of these so-called assists are useless passes that these strikers can somehow turn into a goal.
Ozil assists.
Giroud is the guy.
Easy.
Giroud is the guy who missed the best assist of all time.
Let me land.
He missed Mbappe's assist.
Let me land. My thing also is this. Was Ozil ever, as an individual, seen as a wonder kid?
Yes, dude. 2010. I'm telling you,
in the 2010 World Cup.
2010 World Cup.
Ozil was the best one in that 2010 World Cup.
Ozil was always a guy that was part of a system.
No, bro. He was the best player in that World Cup.
Okay, let me ask you this.
He scored that crazy goal against Ghana.
And till this day, Ozil is the most talented and technical player in German history. Every youth product in Germany, they always look up to Ozil. He's their guy. I don't know why people say Götze. Götze is a nothing player compared to Ozil in terms of talent. Ozil is Germany's best ever product ever made.
Okay, and well, FG, what about you then? Okay, so FG, tell us which wonder kid did you think was going to be world class that ended up flopping?
Hazard. I I had this guy back in 2015 higher than like Neymar, and I expected much more, to be honest. But it's okay. I mean, the guy likes McDonald's, so I can't complain. And secondly, also I think Isco fell off for me too. I expected Isco to be like all time great number 10, but
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like
true.
he's only had like one or two great seasons. And for a player with his talent, I feel like he should have done more for Madrid, and like his impact is not like what I expected. And maybe you could also say maybe Bale, even though Bale's like has great amazing moments, like he's never like truly
No, wait, but Michael,
solidified himself.
wait, but neither Bale nor Hazard were ever wonder kids.
No, they were like Hazard when he was like 21 when he came to the Prem back in
No,
2013.
but were people saying, "Oh my gosh, this guy can be the next big thing," to the same degree as a Marigotza, a Balotelli, or a James Rodriguez, or a Robinho? No, they were not highly regarded to the same degree as a young Robinho, young Balotelli, young Gotza, and so forth. Who they're like, "Oh my gosh, this." I don't think there was that much. People viewed him as, put it this way, the way people viewed Hazard is the same way that people view Sancho, not the way that they view an Mbappe. If you get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
there's a difference of how people view Mbappe and how they view Sancho. How they viewed Hazard is how they view Sancho now. So again, I don't even know, but this is an interesting one that I don't think anyone has touched upon. You see, Pato.
Yeah, Pato was a flop.
I mean, he's had good seasons in Milan, though.
Okay, but did anybody really believe Pato would be the next great Brazilian striker?
Nope.
Chelsea fans, didn't they? Didn't Chelsea fans?
Yo,
No, I
remember when he
actually
came
did.
back to
I
Chelsea?
actually did.
He only took penalties when he came back.
Look, man, why do you keep throwing Chelsea under the bus, one? Okay, look, Starch. What about you? Wonderkid, who you thought?
Wait, I just want to say one more name. Alvaro Morata. I thought this dude would be world class when he was
What?
at Madrid. I thought he would be world class when he came in Madrid, but yeah, he's not been the. He's only good at subbing, coming off the bench, but it is what it is.
The hell, Starch. Who are you picking, bro?
So I'm thinking players like Balotelli, Goetze. I always thought they were media hype, never rated them. Goetze showed he had weak mentality when he joined Bayern just before the final, right? That's one of the weakest things I've seen a footballer do. And Balotelli, I mean, he came to Liverpool. His strike partners were Barini and Ricky Lambert. And honestly, I can't say he performed better than them. So I think this guy was just media hype. So honorable mention. This guy, I'm going to mention him because I've never before made a prediction on this player is going to be great. He was the first player I did it. And so far in his career, he's disappointed me so much. Dembele. I watched Dembele when he made his debut. Not his debut, but I watched him early on in his career in 2015 December. I watched him get his first hat-trick against Nantes. I watched him sit down a defender against Marseille. I watched his dribbling skills. And I'm looking at, and that was 2015. We're in 2020. And a player of your ability. Listen, I went to the moon. I died for this guy. In 2015, I was saying he was way better than Mbappé. And what has he done?
He was.
He's an absolute. This guy. Listen, he's not a flop yet. But listen, get on the treadmill.
Wait.
Start eating better.
He's a
Get
flop.
more fit. Do something. Because listen. If you let me down to that extent, you are the biggest flop. I don't care if it's not even true, but you better not let me down, Dembele. I mean, I said so much.
Okay, Starch.
So far, he's a flop, though.
Bro, I said so much big stuff. I bigged him up so much.
Shut up. Now, Starch. Let me.
Dem booty. He's your dude.
Okay, now let me now defend the Starch. No. Let me defend the Oos. Let me first defend the Oos. Now, I don't care what any of you guys say. The Oos is still more talented than Mbappe. That is fact one. Fact two. I triple dare Barcelona to sell the Oos. I triple dare them. That's fact. So fact three is this. Storage. Let me pull this up because I want to just see how old this dude is right now. The
He's
Oos,
like 23, 22 maybe.
the Oos is 22. He's going to be 23 next month. He's still a child.
He's embarrassing.
What?
He's
Dude,
embarrassing
23
me.
is a grown
He's
man.
embarrassing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can I finish?
He's embarrassing me.
There's not much players that come back from that, to be honest.
Can I finish?
Yeah.
The Oos still has a lot of time to prove himself Because remember, people, remember Robin's early days? Injury upon injury upon injury upon injury. Once he got over his injuries, he's now considered one of the greatest players of all time. Top 10. If you push
No,
me,
we,
top,
no, we,
top
no, we
five.
don't. No, we
Can I
don't. No,
finish?
I don't know what kind
Can
of
I finish?
sick,
Can I
twisted
finish?
reality you
Can I
live in.
finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? He's better than Christina. Now, my thing is, the Us just needs to be given respect. And I think Barcelona, who are in no position to be shaking their legs, should bow down and beg the Us. I tell you, if if Chelsea had the opportunity to get the Us, loading, treble loading. If Chelsea gets a fully fit Us, treble loading. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yo, speaking of Chelsea, Pulisic, another
have
wonder
faith.
kid that flopped.
Starch, have hope in the Us. Have
Listen.
hope in the Us, and he will prove you right. Just have hope.
HH, let me explain myself. You had high expectations of the guy.
Yes.
I made such big predictions, such huge. Listen. I'm just gonna say what I said. I said this guy was going to be the next Ballon d'Or winner. I expected him to win a Ballon d'Or at this age. He's always in hospital. Listen, and the worst thing is, I said that he was gonna make Mbappé look bad, and look at what Mbappé is doing. Listen, listen. You're saying Barcelona keep him. I don't care if Barcelona. I need this guy to get on a pitch because right now, the longer you're not on a pitch, you're letting me down. So get on a pitch.
Starch. You know the worst part is of Dembele's career? After France won that World Cup, Dembele, who was on the bench for the whole tournament, got up, took the World Cup trophy, smiled like he won that damn thing.
He did win it.
That made me sick.
He won it, though. He won it. Anyway,
he does not have a World Cup. He does not have a World Cup.
But the biggest flop, I think people are forgetting this guy is Boyan. When he came in, they were on about he's the next Messi. He's up there with Messi, one of the biggest talents.
Yeah.
Bro, the guy's not even that old, yeah? He's not that old. Last I knew he was playing in Stoke. I don't even know if he's playing. I don't know if he's retired. No one knows what happened to him. He's just vanished.
He's still playing. He's I think he's on loan. He's on loan. Or is it Mines? Maybe. I think I have to double check it. But like he's not at Stoke and was on loan somewhere. Like he's got attitude problems. But
God,
oh, yo,
God.
Emery Moore, man. Emery Moore is another crazy.
No, boy actually scored goals. I mean, that's what you call being a flop. Nobody even knows where you are, and you're like 30.
Also, Jesse from Madrid. I expected him to be like really good, but he flopped.
Oh, yeah. He went to
he's
Stoke.
More of like a pace merchant, bro.
Yo, HH, you notice a lot of these flops went to Stoke, and the worst thing is they got Stoke relegated.
Look, man, as I said again, man, Stoke City is still one of the biggest fortresses in football. Peak Stoke was no joke. I still say, if Messi is so good, could he do it on a rainy day in Stoke in February? Now, Red Devil, who's your pick? Wonderkid, who you thought was going to be great but flopped?
So I kind of have three, but maybe in three different generations. And I'll just quick go from some speak a lot. I think the first one, maybe slightly older than some people, would actually be Michael Owen. I think Michael Owen at the time actually was deemed he was the wonder kid when he came on the scene, in English football and stuff like that. He was hyped.
But didn't he win a Ballon d'Or? So he reached world-class status.
He did. He did at such a young age, and I think it's just I think because we're talking about, I guess, eventuals, because obviously he did so much at a young age, but like his career obviously, like essentially from that, just ended in. Obviously, it was mostly because of his injuries and inconsistencies and stuff like that as well, but predominantly with his injuries. But I think it's much more the fact that there was so much, there was so much expectation on Michael Owen. There was so much hype around Michael Owen to almost be like the new, this was the player that was going to take England, so English football to new heights, if that makes any sense. I still remember as a kid, the hype around Michael Owen, it was insane. And I just feel like he never, yes, he won the Ballon d'Or. I get that. Yes, he did, but they did those things quite early on in his career. I just never felt that he lived up to the hype that was put on him at that time for the remainder of his career. The other two are fairly straightforward. As a United fan, I think FG will appreciate me when I say this. I think that the Brazilian fraud called Henderson, when he came, and he won a Premier League and a Champions League as well. He did, so it's achieved more than like Hazard has achieved, but again, he did that when he came, when it was 19, when it was 20, around that time. But it was at United for 7 seasons, and after that, he really didn't do much, frankly. So like he just, and then because I don't know, maybe because he was Brazilian, so the flair. So we were just like, yeah, Brazilian midfielder, great. We've got the United got their own Brazilian kind of, but it just never seemed to work. And he's almost kind of like a meme now. And I think lastly, in terms of Wonderkid, a flop, more so for himself, bigging himself up than everyone else, was Nicholas Bendtner. Nicholas Bendtner at Arsenal Football Club. Because, come on. Yeah.
Come on, bro. Red Devil, we're talking about Wonderkids.
Yeah,
he in their right mind. Wait. Who in their right mind thought Marshall Mathers was wonderful at anything apart from being an egotistical brick?
Like I said, he himself thought he was the best player in the world. He said that himself. So not that anyone did, but he himself bigged himself up as the Wonderkid. So in his mind, he probably is the worst flop. So you've got to give a shout to Nicholas Bendtner, man. You got to.
Okay. Wait, let me hit this right now. What do you think of Joao Felix? 120 million for that. Can I just say this right now? And this is the issue I have with modern football and so forth, is the eagerness that people have in proclaiming this dude is the next big thing. My thing is, we had so much hype about Joao Felix, all because he scored a hat-trick in the Europa League knockout game. That's it. All because he did that. People went super crazy over this flipping dude. And I say for Joao Felix, I still think he's a talented player. But I thought that the worst thing that could happen to Joao Felix was when he was given that Golden Lion crown or something for the best young player. I was like, wait, what the hell has this dude done to actually achieve that, man? So, did anybody really rate El Shaarawy?
Nah.
Hasn't rated.
Look,
he rates anyone who's Egyptian.
Hasn't rated anyone from AC Milan. So look. I didn't look. I never rated El Shaarawy, man. So all the hype around him never was with me. So Jamal, what about you? Wonderkid, who you thought would be great, but flopped in the end?
Yeah. To me, this one was a very heartbreaking for me because when we buy this player, I said that's it. Liverpool gonna win the league. It's Harry Kewell from Leeds. To me, Harry Kewell at Leeds was world class. The way he could dribble, he could beat a man, he was world class. When Liverpool bought it, I said that's it. I said everything is completed. Win the league. But now I don't know if it's injuries, if it's confidence, but he never fulfilled his best and true potential at Liverpool. So Harry Kewell for me.
So let me even sort of switch this sort of on this theme though. So let's take a time machine and let's go forward 6-7 years. So in 6-7 years time, or who knows, maybe hopefully YouTube will still be around and hopefully we'll also be alive. And let's just say that who would you put money on in 6-7 years time that will be seen as the quintessential best player in the world? So
Now,
my,
go ahead.
I mean, my thing is the obvious one is Mbappé. That's the obvious answer. And
you could do best player and best flop. You could put flop day too,
no. But this is just about the guy who you think will be the best player going forward, the best young player now. So
okay.
So my thing is, it seems as if it's Mbappé, but my thing is Mbappé has to go to Real Madrid and so forth. But as I think about it and so forth, I think it's going to be Mo. Don't, please don't. I mean, please.
Oh, come on, man! Come on.
So my thing is, the thing about this question is that it is so dependent on where certain players move to. I feel the Us has to move. Mbappe has to move. Sane has to move. But I think Sancho is actually cool where he is. So I'm going to go for something crazy. And this is what I'm going to say. It's all dependent. If Sancho stays at Dortmund and Dortmund keep on improving their teams and so forth and everything, and if Sancho stays at Dortmund, I really do believe that people will definitely look at Sancho as definitely one of the best players in about 6-7 years time. So I'm going to go for something a bit off the cuff, but it's all dependent. It's going to be Sancho because I'm not sure about what will happen with Mbappe, whether he's going to remain at PSG, remain at PSG, is going to leave PSG and so forth. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. So LB, who are you going to roll for
Look,
as the
it's
next
hard
big
to really,
player in 6-7 years?
it's really hard to say at this stage because players that, as we've just discussed, can easily flop overnight. But I suppose if you're going by age, achievements, talent, you can't go past Mbappe come 6-7 years time. And say that he'll still be at the top level and still kicking goals and still achieving great heights. I think, like you said, HH, it's all dependent on where he goes the next couple of seasons, whether he stays at PSG or goes to Real Madrid or wherever. But yeah, if I had to put money, it'd probably be on Mbappe.
So if Mbappe stays at PSG, will you still stick with Mbappe?
Look, I think he can still achieve a lot more at PSG. I think he can achieve a Champions League, perhaps a Ballon d'Or, although it'll be hard with Neymar there. But you've got to take into account whether Neymar will still be there come next season or a couple of seasons' time as well, and how happy Neymar is. Obviously, Mbappe's French as well, which would help. But I think he can still achieve more at PSG because let's not forget how young he is as well. Neymar's about 4 years older than him, if not 5. So I think he still has a Ballon d'Or and perhaps a Champions League to achieve at PSG.
Okay. So before I go to Terror with this, man. So anybody can answer, who's the third best player of our generation? Is it, people would argue, is it Neymar? What would you guys say? I'd say maybe Neymar.
I would say
Yeah.
Neymar only.
Neymar.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so yeah, I'd say Neymar. So, right. So, Tara, what about you? Who do you think
In
is the
6-7
next?
years time, obviously this is going to be a very difficult question. Obviously, Mbappe is an obvious choice. I mean, the guy. It's very, very safe to say he's not going to end up being a flop. He's going to be putting up consistent numbers for years, and I think so. And
No,
even if he does stay at
okay, but Tara, but the same thing that I asked LB, if Mbappe stays at PSG,
Bro, I'm getting to that.
okay,
Okay. The thing about PSG is that they're I agree that if he moves to Madrid or Barca, it would help his sort of legacy, his sort of view in the media. But PSG, they seem to be on the right track with the way their signings are going. They've stopped signing all these players for hundreds of millions, and they're actually signing players who fit their team. And I think PSG, they won't win a CL for in like the immediate near future, but definitely in 6-7 years they could be a contender. I think that'll start being a thing for them. So potentially Mbappe. Studge, I'm sorry. I have to say it. I rep this guy, bro. I rep him. Potentially Dembele. Look, I still have faith in him. And even if he does stay at Barca,
Dembele's trash.
What do you mean Dembele's trash, bro? The slander is something else, man. All of you just don't have respect. That's the issue. No respect. But yes, if Dembele, he can recover from those injuries. He can stop getting them. I have faith in that, and I have evidence that he can, in fact, stop getting injuries and actually be on the pitch and show his talents. Because we know when he's not injured, he's a talented player. This is
But
not.
do you feel, quickly, but do you feel, let's say he gets fit, do you feel Setien has faith in him and will start him for Barcelona?
Is there another choice? Is the better question. Who else do we have on left wing? Like, who's actually a natural left winger? Like, who else? Griezmann's not a natural left winger. Coutinho is shit. Ansu Fati's still young. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but how you could be 22 and get so much muscle injuries? Like, what's he doing? You really think you get over them injuries? I don't think so. I think it might be worse. I think the injuries will mash up his career than Bailey.
No, but look, I think, we have to give everyone. If he keeps getting these injuries for like the next 2-3 years, then okay, maybe it's a thing. But look, Robin had the same issues. Robin had a period where he was like glass. He kept having injury upon injury upon injury, and then he just got through it. Went through the whole thing, just went over the bump. It's something you have to deal with based on your body. And then we all saw what Robin was able to do. All right, so see, yes, aside now, I get that you're a United fan, and I get that you love United and everything, but can you safely say that Rashford isn't allowed in this conversation?
Yeah,
Okay.
he'll never be there. He's an upper tier to his level.
Okay, so my eyes are on Red Devil Studio. So Red Devil, please tell me you don't believe Rashford will become one of the best players in the world in the next 6-7 years. Red Devil. Okay, his mic is open. Okay, it's cool. So I mean, yes, aside.
Sorry, yeah, I'm here, but I was speaking, but my.
Sorry. Okay. So please tell me you don't believe Rashford is going to be amongst one of the best players in the world in the next 6-7 years.
I don't. First, I think it's another Manchester United player personally. So, sorry.
Yeah, Mason Greenwood.
No, actually, I actually think Wan-Bissaka. I actually genuinely think that like Wan-Bissaka could potentially be one of the best right backs, fullbacks, whatever, like in the world the next 6 or 7 years. Because defensively, like he's got that sorted already. Like that aspect of his game is fine. So like unlike a lot of other players when it's time that like I still have to sort of work on that stuff to get better on that. He's almost, I'm not gonna say he's perfect, but he's almost there in terms of his ability. So it's just the question with Wan-Bissaka has always been how's he going forward? And even throughout the rest of throughout the season, and the season continued, he's slowly but surely gotten better. So I think that with a good coach, because I don't think Solskjaer's going to be at Manchester United for the next 7 or so years, I think he could potentially be one of the best right backs in the world. So arguably one of the best players in the world. Is that a strange thing to say? Or?
No. I mean, no. For me, I already say like Wan-Bissaka is one of the best defensive fullbacks in the world. Like he's very, very hard to get past. But my main thing is,
I could go.
No, wait. I just want to know Red Devil. I want to know Rashford. What do you think Rashford's ceiling is? That's what I want to know desperately.
I do. To be fair to Ollie, I do feel like Rashford has actually gotten better this season. And I think a big thing, and this is coming from a medic point of view, I think that the stress fracture that he has in his back will put him back a bit, because stress fractures are not pleasant things, because you need to like rest like a lot to recover from stress fractures. They're not like normal fractures. So knowing that fact, I think that fact in of itself is the reason why I don't think Rashford will necessarily reach greater heights. I think that, like Jamal said, upper tier 2. But the fact that he's got a stress fracture like that so early on in his career, and Robin van Persie said something like that, something similar like this, like they're not good things to have. And I think at United, we put a lot of pressure on Rashford, and we put a lot of pressure on him too young. And my fear is that is what will make him not achieve the levels that he would achieve. Not necessarily that I think that he can't get there, but I think and let's be real. Like I know people are talking about Mbappé, but like right now Mbappé is playing in a farmers league. He's playing in a farmers league. He can chill. He doesn't have the same yes, you can say Mbappe's technically better, but like the reality is like Mbappe does not have the same pressure that Rashford has. Rashford has had a lot of pressure this season in the Premier League. Martial's been injured for quite some time. He was like at one point, he was the only number 9 attacking player that we had. Mbappe can just chill and do nothing, get drunk or whatever, so come back and they'll still beat Dijon or something like that 5-0 in the French league. So, you know what I mean? You know, so you know, I feel like it's more the pressures that have been put on him as a young player that will not make him succeed to that level, as opposed to that I don't think he actually has the ability, unlike Mbappe who will, but I think it's just because Mbappe has a lot easier than Marcus Rashford, quite frankly. So
no, okay. That's fair. That's fair. No, because I think with the whole Mbappe thing is like, look, man, he has to leave PSG 100%. I don't think he can win the Ballon d'Or with the best if he remains at PSG. I don't think a PSG player can win the Ballon d'Or. So
Damn.
that's the thing. So yes, aside, I need. Okay, Said, if I am willing to give you a full-hearted apology if Rashford is on the podium and win. You know what? I'll go one step further. If Rashford finishes in the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or, I'll give you an apology. I don't think Rashford in his entire career, I think he will definitely be regarded as like, I think Rashford can get into a World 11 for sure. I think he could definitely get into a World 11 or something, but I don't think Rashford will ever finish top 3 in the Ballon d'Or ever in his career. I just don't
he
think
might just be a Premier League legend, Rashford.
Okay, so Jamal, same question. How are you rolling then? So who do you think is going to be the top player in the next few years?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Mbappé, but then I just said I'm gonna check this fella age. I really want to see what age he is. He's only 23. Adama Traore. I feel
What?
if Adama listen to this.
Traore,
This guy
what the heck?
he's
Adama
using
what?
gold class. No.
The heck?
You
Wait, Jamal, are you
so you don't think Traore could be in 25, 26 be one of the best players?
Hell no. No.
It's the same Adama Traore at Wolves we're talking about, right?
Yeah. He's
Jamal,
like,
oh my god.
So do you not think?
Wait. Okay, Jamal. First of all, we have established that you're not sniffing cocaine, which is good. so that's a good start. So the second thing is, since we now know that you're sober and clean, why would you think that Adama Traore could end up being one of the best players in the world in 6-7? I'm talking about in the world. How?
Because I watch his piece. He's only 23, and when he's on his day, he's unstoppable. I see people put 4-6 fellas to run him, and they can't catch him. On his day, when his head is right, he's unplayable. And I check, he's only 23. He's still a baby. So when he turned 25, 26, I think Traore could be one of the most dynamic players in the world. That's just me. But yeah.
LB, what about you? Best future player?
I've already answered that. HH.
Oh, okay, all right. Starch, what about you? Who do you think is going to be the best future player?
I think the best future player, like I've already said, I'm going to die on this hill. I've already made the prediction. It's going to be Mbappé. I've already predicted he's going to win 3 Ballon d'Ors. So I'm just going to die on the hill.
What?
Whether he does it or not, I don't.
3 Ballon d'Ors.
Yeah, listen, I told you, I predicted a lot of stuff. So I'm going to predict him. Listen, I have an opinion. People are not going to like it. I think it's only between 2 players so far. Dembele and Mbappe and Sancho. Personally, myself, I think Sané's brain dead. So I took him out of the conversation.
Whoa, what the?
There's a reason for this, HH. Listen, was it 2018? He was up against an 18-year-old Trent in the Champions League quarterfinal. It was Imano 1v1, and you got shut down by an 18-year-old Trent who can't defend. And the worst thing was, this guy, his brain is so dead. Unlike Dembele and Mbappe, he's not going to go inside. He's not going to try and create. The only thing that was in his mind all day was, let me take on Trent. That's all he did. Do you know how brain dead you have to be for your brain not to come up with another solution other than just take. And that's one of the reasons why the Germans don't like him personally, because he's not smart enough. I'm just going to say it. Another thing people are not going to like is this is my other opinion. If Mbappe is the best player in world football, and it's not Dembele, I think it's going to be the dark ages of football, because technically, this guy is. I think he's going to be the worst player in my generation to be the best technically.
No
I mean,
talent, no.
Bro, HH, let's just keep it 100. Technically, I've been blessed since I was born. But from R9 to Ronaldinho to Messi, and then to Mbappe, I mean, he's going to have to improve a lot, technically wise.
Oh no. You see, that's I agree. Is like for me. See, this is one I've always said, and people have always agreed. And I said this like last year or so forth. The Us is a better football player than Mbappe. It's just that Mbappe is more effective, and Mbappe can give me more results and so forth. But this
of course, when you got pace, you're gonna do that.
Then Red Devil made a very good point. Mbappe, he did all that stuff in the World Cup. All these numbers are in the Uber Eats. I do not recognize Uber Eats. I'm sorry, I don't recognize Uber Eats, and I never will recognize the Uber Eats. So until Mbappe comes to the Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, or Syria, and you ball there, then you see. As of right now, the only thing that Mbappe can do that I will listen to is what he does in the Champions League now. You have the World Cup.
HH, I'm just going to ask you a question. Forget about league. Forget about anything else. You've been watching football probably longer than all of us. Technical ability, and you've seen so many greats, even Maradona. How good is Mbappe compared to the greats? So let's just.
Okay. So this one I want to say. Right now, he isn't. I believe in improvements, but
what's his best trait, Double H?
Wait, man, FG, let me land, man. The guy asked me a question. Let me answer the question, man. But what I will say though is that at 19 and 20, R9 was far better, and R9 at 21 was leading Brazil at a World Cup, and it was because one of the best players in the world at 21. So right now, Mbappe isn't even close to those guys technically, but he can always improve. Improve. But 100%, I definitely see a guy who is merely a finisher, but does not really have the overall footballing skills, especially the on-the-ball skills. But there's always time. But my thing, though, Starch, is that, which is why I keep saying, I put the caveat of PSG. If he stays at PSG, he will not improve. He simply won't improve. Same thing with like Neymar, for all his talents. If Neymar remained in Santos, he wouldn't have improved properly. Neymar
I disagree, Double H.
Barcelona in order for him to really improve by playing at a much higher level. So before I come to Peter Gonzalez, let me take some super chats. How is everyone forgetting Odegaard? Because we are.
Oh no!
Like who is he? He's not on the radar. So yeah, I don't know.
He's technically better than
FG.
Young player in the world.
Only Odegaard I recognize is the dude who serves Thor wine or something. That's really Odegaard I recognize. Basically like a Viking. So that's it. That's only Odegaard I know. So from Victory Afemike, who says, does anyone believe Odegaard can be the best in the world? No one does.
Yes.
No one does. No, that's
dude. Just think of it this way. He plays for Norway. Holland is Norwegian too, right? Can you imagine they win a Euros? That's Ballon d'Or right there.
They're not going to win a Euros.
Haaland is Danish. Haaland is Danish.
No. Is he Danish?
He's from Norway.
No. Haaland
is Look, Haaland and Odegaard. Who knows? They could
wait. So, Peter Gonzalez, who do you think is going to be the next big player in the next 6-7 years?
The next big player. That's a hard question. I think it's a hard question because I think it all depends down to the coach that player is partnered with. Because like if you look at like Henry when he was young, he was not on the same level of talent that Mbappe is now. But Henry at his prime, his playmaking ability, you don't see Mbappe having that right now. But with the right coach, that can be developed. So I think it depends on the coach. I think like if Mbappe went to Liverpool with Klopp, he'd be absolutely amazing. Klopp's one of the best coaches in the world at developing players and talent. But in terms of just raw ability right now, I would have to go with I'm gonna say Jadon Sancho because he's displaying it in a Borussia Dortmund team. We don't know how good of a coach Favre is. He's tactically he's not that great because he sets his teams up to always lose. But he's just being able to display his attacking talent, and if he gets to the right club and the right coach and surrounded with the right players, he can refine himself. I think Jadon Sancho could be the reason England win the World Cup in 2026.
Peter, relax.
Jeez.
I mean,
2026.
England
I'm
have a
calling
lot
it
of
now.
quality, so
2026 or 2030. I'm calling it now.
no, 2026 is a good shot.
Yeah, I'm calling it London FC. London FC will win the World Cup.
All right. Okay. FG, who do you think is going to be the next big player in the next 7 years? And remember, FG, Cristiano will be 40-something.
At 40, it's so good.
FG. Let me just say, in the next 7 years, Cristiano will be in his 40s. FG, let me just start in before. So FG, 7 plus 34 something, that's 40-something. So
40s, I hear 40 is the new 24.
So FG, can I just finish? So FG, just before you answer the question, FG, Cristiano is going to be well into his 40s in the next 7 years.
That's not well into his 41.
So FG, if the words Cristiano or Ronaldo come out of your mouth, then I am going to recommend you for psychiatric evaluation. So FG, I'm going to ask you the question: who do you think is going to be the best player in the world in the next 7? Not 2 or 1, in the next 7 years?
Cristiano Ronaldo Jr.
FG, you need help.
No, I'm serious. No, for real though, I think it's gonna be Rashford. Actually, I have 2 answers. My first answer is I don't think there's gonna be like an undisputed best player in the world. I think it's gonna go back to pre-Messi and Ronaldo, where there's gonna be multiple players that one year they might be the best, next year someone else might be the best. I think it's gonna go back to those years. But if I had to choose, I think it's gonna be Rashford because if you look at this season, he's United's main man. At 22 years old, he's their best player. They're relying on this man to take them to the promised land and get Champions League spots. And not to mention, we've seen him thrive. We've seen him play well against big teams in Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. Dude, and he can score goals, and he's good at free kicks. He's a very intelligent player. He's got the right mentality. He's got the right work rate, and he's doing it on a bigger league and he has no world class players. Pogba doesn't even play with him. Like I don't know why people mention Mbappé when this dude has Neymar, who literally feeds him tap-ins, and Di Maria, who feeds him tap-ins on a weekly basis. If you put Mbappé in this Man United team, I think they'll fight for a relegation. Because we seen what happened when Mbappé faced against United as the main man without Neymar last season. He flopped. He completely flopped. Whereas Rashford.
Okay. FG.
I'm stating facts, man. I'm stating facts.
Let me learn. Okay, let me ask. I'm going to ask you on Red Devil this same question, man. Because FG, I know that you're like a weirdo Man United. I don't even know who you're a fan of. And Red, I'm going to ask you this question right now. So, would you, if a swap deal was on the table, would you entertain a Rashford Mbappé swap?
Nope.
You're asking me as well.
Yes, I am actually.
Wow. They're two different players. I think. I don't think you get necessarily the same thing.
A World Cup winner. Wow. Okay.
And it's also, and I think it's also Rashford. People forget, because Rashford obviously is local, Manchester with that type of sort of thing.
And he's proving it.
He's proving it as well. FG does have a point in this. It echoes what I sort of said in that, it is easy. The French league, at the end of the day, is an easy league, and Mbappé does have insane world-class players around him, and yet they still haven't been able to deliver anything significant.
And not to mention, Mbappe's performances in the Champions League knockout stage has not been impressive ever since he left Monaco.
No one here.
That's the question.
Go on, Peter. Yeah.
For Red Devil Studio and for FG, do you think that Rashford is on the same level of talent as Wayne Rooney at the same age?
No.
No.
You think Rooney's more talented?
Yeah,
I think when Rooney came onto the scene, like him and Ronaldo were just
the media had him higher than Ronaldo.
So then was Rooney world class at the end?
Yeah, of course. Rooney's a world class player, but he never fulfilled his potential to be up there with. He was supposed to be with Messi and Ronaldo for all this past decade, but he hasn't.
Was
The
he?
difference is,
Yeah.
yeah. He talent wise, he's definitely up there. But the difference is, Rashford's got the mentality and work rate, unlike Rooney. And we have to remember, Rooney's an alcoholic. This guy lives in the pub every single day. So, like, Rashford is a different breed, man.
Yeah.
Look, man, black
The-
excellence. He's black excellence.
The only thing you say about Rashford, like I said, for me is just the stress fracture sort of thing. And like my fear, as I've sort of said, is that the fact is, as a United club, we have put a lot of pressure on Marcus Rashford at such a young age. And I just feel that my only thing of Rashford meeting his potential is that the issue of injuries, stress fractures, and then some, much like a Michael Owen, he might potentially go down that line where like he doesn't reach his potential, not because he doesn't have it, but because injuries blight him. Whereas
No,
I
but
don't
I think like say this summer, like United gets Sancho, and if Pogba like stays, I think like the whole pressure thing goes off of Rashford's shoulders, and the spotlight will be more on Sancho and Pogba, and like that will allow Rashford to vibe more.
FG, who's the manager of United?
Dude, Ole's been good. Ole's been doing good this season. Like, I think Ole's gonna stay for another like 2-3. I think. Look, there's no point in changing Ole.
let's not go.
So you think Solskjaer can deliver a CL and a Premier League?
I think he'll deliver a Premier League in 2 years' time. Like, why change something when it's good? Why get Pochettino when Ole is doing good without Pogba? Like, look at Fred. Fred's having a great season. McTominay's good. Like, there's a lot of players that are thriving at United right now.
I mean, he did beat Pep like 3 times. Like who?
He's the only manager who's ever done that.
Gotta give Ollie some credit. Like you can't.
And not to mention, the only problem with Man United is they struggle against the lower opposition who sit back. So once they get a quality players, technical players like Sancho, like who can get past like this the type what do you call it, the low blocks, then they'll beat those lower teams because they're already great against the top teams.
Okay. So Rodrigo, what about you? Who do you think is going to be the next big player next 7 years?
All right. So I also think it's gonna be Mbappe, but I just wanted to clarify something. You guys said that he has to move to Madrid, but his contract ends in 2 years. So Madrid, like from all the reports I read, Madrid are looking to buy him next year because that'll be his last year in. That'll be his last year in.
No, PSG are gonna offer him 50 million a year, man. There's no way Madrid can offer the same thing. And plus, Madrid have a what do you call it? A wage. Like they have a rule. Like they don't give anyone like they're not like PSG where they can give any player
No. But the thing is that Mbappe, I think he knows that he has to join Real.
Wait. FG, didn't they give this guy Odegaard like 200k when he was 15 or something?
Yeah. I think he was making like 100k when he was 16.
I mean, that's to like a 16-year-old. That's not a wage cap. Come on.
But double A. I mean, to Peter, whoever's but do you really think Madrid can offer Mbappe 50 million a year, the same as PSG are going to offer him for a new contract?
I think that he's going to realize that the only way he can become the best player and fulfill his view as the prodigy is going to Madrid. But I just want to give a quick shout out to I think Odegaard. He can also be considered one of the best players because I think he could even be the best comeback story because when he was around 18 years old and he went to the Everdees League, he was viewed as a flop already, and he came back to La Liga and he's playing for Real Sociedad.
They're fourth in the table right now.
Yeah, and he's killing it. And also, I want to give one last shout out to Federico Valverde. I think he's honestly underrated. He's so underrated. He's like
dude. Wait, Starch. You should rate him. He's like the Gerrard 2.0, bro.
Yeah, he's honestly like I like he's like box to box.
He's Gerrard 101.
Yeah.
You don't know my opinions about Gerrard, so
Gerrard's overrated, man. But anyway, I'll get to
no. Wait, Dodge. You've just opened up a can of worms. So did he, Red Devil? And I'm going to keep that can of worms open. So I remember that comment. Rodrigo, finish your comment.
I want to finish my point. Like the past 3 games, the past games that Madrid have been losing points. Zidane has been wanting to rest Valverde, but Madrid always go down in the scoreboard, and he's been forced to go back on the field. But that's been one of the reasons why Madrid have been going on this dip because Zidane has been struggling to find rest periods for Valverde. But yeah, I think Valverde will be a future star. So yeah, I'm gonna finish off with that.
Okay.
Wait, to add to that, I think
Easy,
Madrid have only lost like 3 times this season with Valverde.
chill. Red Devil, what about you? 7 years. Who's going to be the next big dude?
Oh, jeez. So are we? You already asked me. I said Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Do you want me to say someone more mainstream?
Sorry, I didn't know I could see. Okay, so now
Jesse Lingard. I'll put that out there. He's a good youth.
Red Devil, relax. Please relax. I'm begging you. Thank you. So it says most of recent managers, Poch and Tuchel. Poch, yes. Tuchel, maybe. Poch isn't as good as people think he is, and I think he exploded.
Wait. Poch went to a Champions League final. Tuchel. I don't know why. What has Tuchel done at Dortmund? Can someone explain to me what he's done at Dortmund?
Son and Lucas Moura carried him into a Champions League final. Get it right.
And he played those players.
So
he made Son a good player.
My 2-year-old cousin can easily pick.
To be fair, Pochettino has made Spurs until recently. Like he made them consistently compete in the Champions.
And he's made them get to top 4 on a daily basis.
Thomas Tuchel, what has he done for PSG? Really, they wouldn't get with any other manager.
And not to mention, what has he done for Dortmund? I don't know why how he was rated this highly. He gets praised for playing like a 3-6-1-2 whatever formation he wants. I think that's why people praise the guy.
That flop when Manchester United PSG. He orchestrated that flop in Paris, where Manchester United, somehow playing with test tube babies, were able to come back and beat PSG. Thomas, come on.
No, we easy. We touch upon something very interesting right now, and I want to go deep in Starch. Let me be clear here. So, Starch, you're a Liverpool.
Yeah. You're gonna make me say this.
Yes, I am.
Just bring out the United shirt, Sturge. We know you're United.
Let me just get this on. So, Sturge is a Liverpool fan.
Yes.
Sturge has said some shocking things, and I love beef, and I love to instigate things because there's nothing better than conflict. So Sturge, I want you to explain to me, because I do share a similar sentiment. And let me because I always have to explain this to people. Let me explain this again. Overrated doesn't mean you're crap.
Yeah.
Overrated means that you're not as good as people think you are. For example, if people think a guy is an upper tier 2 player, but he's really a tier 2 player, he's overrated. A tier 2 player is not crap. A tier 2 player is very good, but he's just not upper tier 2. So if people think he's upper tier 2, he's overrated. So the notion, I think the mistake that people make is overrated means that the player is crap. No, it's just that he's not as good as people think he is. You can still be good, but not to a certain level of being good. So, Starch, why is Captain Marvel, aka Steven Gerrard, overrated in your view as a Liverpool fan?
Okay, one of the reasons why I consider him overrated was, listen, you're the captain of Liverpool. I'll give the guy a lot of credit. You know, he stuck around when we weren't that good. You know, around when the financial crisis and stuff happened. But here's my problem with him. So you come up in the era of the best defenders, and you know you're trying. You basically got Rafa Benitez fired. Say it how it is. But I've always wondered, how did Carragher survive all this time? You said that you were serious about winning trophies. You grew up in a generation of the best defenders, and it never occurred to you that you could do better. You could win titles if you replace Carragher. That thought, that baffles me. So many great defenders, and that thought has never popped in their head. I know he's scouts. I know people love him, but let's keep it real. There's so many better defenders if you actually want to win. And the third thing is, listen, this goes for Totti as well. When you end your career, I don't give players points for being loyal. This is your career. You play for yourself. Don't later say, I was loyal, that's why I didn't win this trophy or that trophy. No, you sold yourself short. You either sold yourself short or you were too scared to go to Madrid, to go to Chelsea, to go to those big teams that wanted you, because maybe you were going to be just a normal fish in a big pond instead of the big fish. You know, So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And I think this guy was. Players always say, "I'm serious about winning." Sometimes their actions, they make me think, how serious were you really? I mean, if I'm in Gerrard's position, I'm like, if you want me to stay here, this guy goes, this guy goes, this guy goes, bring him in, or I'm leaving. Why are you just sticking around with average players? Like Carragher goes, I mean, this guy's more remembered for scoring own goals than actual ability. Why have you stuck with him? He wasn't that good, bro. He was look what Henry did to him. After Henry did that to him, I'd knock on the door, I'd say, time to ship this guy off.
Jeez, man.
Bro, you don't play for fun. Do you want to go down as the greatest English midfielder, or do you just want to be another guy? It's your choice. But listen. That's why I respect Ronaldo.
Okay, wait,
Ronaldo is serious about his career.
Okay, wait, Starch. Wait, Starch, because I want to build upon that whole one club thing. So this guy says you're not a Liverpool fan. Are you a Liverpool fan, Starch?
Yeah, I am. I never dissed the guy's ability. I just dissed his mentality, which is true. I mean, how serious are you about winning?
Okay. So before I come to Red Devils today, because you also said this as well. So this is from yesterday. That Di Matteo won a CL, Ranieri won the league. What in world football has Poch won? Poch bottled the CL final for playing an injured Kane. Yes, he did. Now, I will defend Poch by saying that Tottenham are not known for winning trophies, so he always had a very difficult task. But my main thing is that I still feel like if Poch was at a Real Madrid or any of these other clubs, I still feel that he would still flop because I don't. Poch is decent. I think that he's not as good as people think he is. So Red Devil Studio, why do you think that Gerrard is overrated?
Okay, I'm not going to because I'm presumably doing this debate on Tuesday, so I don't want to reveal my hand too early.
Keep it safe.
What the only short thing I will say was that I don't get how you can have. This is a player that is basically been treated as one of the best midfielders of his generation, and yet never won a domestic title. Okay, like I'm sorry, but you can't. I just mean you can't. I'm not even talking about Champions League or World Cup or something like that. You're supposedly the best midfielder of your generation, and you were never ever able to win a domestic title. I'm sorry for your team. I'm sorry, but you can't be put in a bracket of best midfielder of your generation and not win a domestic title. That just can't be. That can't be. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me just say. So Gerrard cost Suarez a league title. Well, it wasn't just Gerrard. I think the team as a whole had to take the blame. Now, Starch, again, you're not being said that this guy ain't a Liverpool fan.
Like this guy said, listen.
Starch, are you or are you not a Liverpool fan?
I'm a Liverpool fan, but listen, I'm for the players first, and I feel like in all these leagues, players are getting used and they're falling for this romanticism football. Listen, the owners don't care. If you are garbage, they'll get rid of you in a second. Why do you care so much? They don't respect you that much. They don't love you that much. You're the biggest asset at the club. Use your power. I have no respect for players that come out like Totti and Gerrard say, I didn't win this trophy, that trophy, but I was so loyal. Listen, you're the biggest asset in the club. Either use your power and make things happen, or leave. Don't come up to me with nonsense later like I didn't win this. I was loyal.
He wanted to leave. He wanted to leave to Chelsea or Madrid, but Liverpool fans right in his mind.
Wait, easy. Let me ask the panel this because you've taken us into a very interesting area right now. So let's look at a Thierry Henry and let's look at a Gerrard. Now, Thierry Henry, granted, he came from Monaco via events that went to Arsenal, but based on everything he did with Arsenal, many people have said if he had retired at Arsenal, he could have been definitely an Arsenal legend. And people feel like if he merely to Barcelona just to get himself a CL trophy. Now, I remember 2005, Gerrard could have moved to Real Madrid. And remember, around 2002, Totti was the best number 10 in the world. So Totti could have pretty much moved to AC Milan, Madrid, Barcelona. He was the best number 10 in the world. But both Totti and Gerrard decided to remain loyal. So how much credit should we give players for remaining loyal? or are they being stupid by not realizing that club for football and loyalty is dumb, and it's about what you can win as a player, and you should get, if you can get a move, make the move, because this isn't countries. Where do you stand on that?
HA, can I go?
Go for it.
So the thing with like Totti and Gerrard, and you can maybe even say like Iniesta, right, is that this is actually the club they grew up loving and supporting. So it might even be the same thing for like a Giggs at Man United. The difference between Gerrard, Giggs, and Iniesta is that he didn't win everything, but every time that he was on the verge of a move leaving, the season before, Liverpool were like 1 or 2 points off the league title, beaten to it by Manchester United. And then they were told they'd be given the right investments. After 2008, that's when Liverpool had like the worst owners possible, who took them into debt. But they were told that they were going to get the backing they needed to improve the team. That improvement, quote unquote, was Alberto Aquilani. So at that point, after the 2009 season, who wanted to buy him when Liverpool finished like what I think it was 8th in 2009. So at that point, the move was off. But when he was wanted after 2005 final, for what reason would he leave Liverpool after they just won the Champions League? Who does that? No one.
No.
Does
He
that
wanted to leave. Actually,
He wanted to leave.
No, the thing is, the Liverpool fans, they threatened him and his family. So because of that, he stayed. The guy was going to leave to Chelsea or Madrid back then, bro. It's the fans. The fans was the reason why he had to stay, because they were going to threaten his wife, his children, and all that.
And
How
you know
can
what
he
makes
threaten
it
his
worse?
wife and children if they're going to be in Spain with him?
You see, that's why I don't buy that. Like, because my thing is,
Yeah,
this.
No,
they're
it
going to
is
Spain
true,
with
man.
him.
It is
No,
true.
it did
is
happen.
true,
It did
man.
happen.
No,
He
no,
did. He did. No, he did. He did.
That's an excuse. That's a person. Because look, first off, if I want to leave, I'm leaving, and there is nothing. So you can threaten my people all you want. All I'll do is that I'm announcing now in full, so anyone can know we are leaving, and I thank you for everything, but I'm doing what is best for my career, and so that's down to you.
No, but you have to think, the family or career comes first. Family comes first. So
Okay, so
that's
FG,
probably what Gerrard thought.
okay, FG, do you really believe a Liverpool? I know Liverpool fans can be quite crazy. Liverpool fans would literally put a bullet through his family's skull.
We're talking about the same fans that killed Juventus fans back in '85. So
Oh no. That was mostly due to the stadium not being good, man. Come on.
yeah, but I'm saying, look, man, fans can be wild. I mean, we've seen like fans from like what, Eastern Europe, like those are crazy people. Like you never know, man. You can never always think of the worst thing that could happen.
Listen, man, Gerrard just didn't have the balls to leave. I mean, let's just say it how it is. Just this is your career. Make the best of it. And the reason why I say it was, even for Totti, by the time these big clubs wanted these guys in their prime, they had won everything else. For Totti, he'd won everything else apart from the UCL. With Gerrard, he had won every trophy apart from a league title. Go and achieve greatness, man. This is your look at Totti. He could have been one of Italy's best. He could have been so much greater, but what did you stick around for? I mean,
I don't think one club pays
Gerrard really thought he would have won it at Liverpool. Like he actually believed that, especially after the 2008, how close they came. He genuinely believed that they would actually, that at some point they would win it.
Oh, no.
Bankrupt, man.
But my thing though is that if, but see, because this reveals people's perspective, because if Real Madrid come calling, you don't reject that call. The only time you reject a call from Real Madrid is if you play for Barcelona. That's why Figo is mad. Like Figo is just different. He just operates on a whole different level. But if Madrid come call,
I disagree with that statement. Because
it was because of political reasons why Figo left.
I think that to European players who are already playing at big European teams, that statement is false. I think that statement stands true for all South Americans and all, you can maybe say non-European footballers. But if you're already playing for Manchester United or Bayern Munich, because look at Philipp Lahm. Are you telling me Philipp Lahm wasn't good enough against that Real Madrid team?
Okay, then how do you explain Cristiano, who had
because that was actually his boyhood club.
Ever, but Cristiano's mind was like, as soon as Real Madrid call, I'm off. You were
That was his
that was his
boyhood
dream
club. That was
club,
his
though.
boyhood
Yeah.
club. That's his dream club from day one. That's completely different.
Ferguson
Lahm
actually
was
wanted
not
him to join
leaving
Barca.
Bayern Munich. Lahm was not leaving Bayern Munich because Bayern Munich was Lahm's boyhood club.
And
So
he's
Real Madrid
German.
came calling. Exactly. Philip Lahm was not going to Real Madrid. Same thing with like Giggs. Giggs was not going to Real Madrid. He was happy to play at Man United. So if that's your actual team, then you don't leave straight away. Because Harry Kane wouldn't be at Tottenham if it wasn't his boyhood club. Real Madrid probably came calling 2-3 seasons ago. He's still at Tottenham now
I thought
because
Arsenal
he's a
was
Tottenham fan.
Isn't Arsenal's
Huh?
boyhood club? I thought Arsenal was
Yeah,
having
it is. It
boyhood
is.
club. But anyway,
Wait, and,
What?
and isn't Gerrard's boyhood club Everton?
Wait,
I
wait,
swear
wait.
this dude was
No,
an
that's
Everton.
Carragher.
Didn't
That's Carragher.
Laudrup?
Really?
Wait, didn't Laudrup win 5 titles with Barcelona, then go to Real Madrid and win 5 titles with them? Laudrup, he's European. Michael Laudrup.
I
yeah,
never.
He did, right?
he did.
No, no,
Directly, yeah.
Yeah, no. Look, it has happened. And basically, I just think that loyalty in club football makes no sense to me. I'm sorry. It
Makes sense if that club has actual ambition and they're going for sort of. So let's look at Trent, for example, like a Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's a local lad. If Liverpool continue to compete for trophies and compete in Europe, why would he want to leave? Like, why?
Yeah.
If there's ambition and stuff like that, you're not gonna. But if there's no ambition, and if you can see the club is going in a negative direction, then that's obviously different.
Wait, one more thing. Because loyalty.
Easy. So things from the side is that HH, that slip is iconic. Like, yeah, that slip was huge, but I think it's a bit harsh putting all of it on Gerrard being.
Yeah, weren't Chelsea 1-0 up when he slipped? Chelsea were still going to win even if he didn't slip.
Okay.
No,
So
that's when they came 1-0 with the slip.
So LB, you wanted to say something, LB?
Yeah, I was going to say that I don't think a lot of these one-club players these days get enough credit they deserve. You've got to sort of factor into account we're sort of living in an age of where these players are offered, $1 million contracts or $1 billion contracts, at the end of every season, and it sort of epitomizes the players if they do want to sort of stay. Club, for example, Gerrard, which I don't know, I think it was UFG who was saying that his home club was Everton, but he still wanted to stay at Liverpool. So I personally don't think that they get enough credit they deserve, especially in this day and age with the amount of money that goes into football.
And you have to remember one thing. Like, at the end of the day, these clubs are the ones that are paying you weekly. They put the food on your plate. So so loyalty, you have to have loyalty for your club.
No. When you're elite, other clubs will pay you. It's not just
but you have to remember that first club is the one.
You don't owe these guys
brought you up.
No.
Question to HH.
Like, I'll give you an example. Look at Messi though. This Barcelona they gave him they paid for his drugs, prescriptions, all that.
Yeah, that's different though.
Let's say Barca let's say next year they collapse, they go down the drain, they don't make any Champions Leagues. I guarantee you, Messi will still stay at Barcelona, even if Barca are not that great anymore, even if they don't even compete for trophies, because he's that loyal to that club. Because they gave him everything.
Yeah, look at when Juventus got relegated. So that's loyalty. So when they went to the second division or something like that, I think.
Yeah. Del Piero, Chiellini,
and stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Oh no, true. Okay, so Peter, you wanted to ask me something. You said.
Yeah. How come, based on your theory that when Barca and Madrid call, you have to go running? How come to this day no PSG or Man City player has left their club to go to Barcelona or Real Madrid?
Because they can't afford the wages that City and PSG.
Because Aguero could get in the team, but he's not.
Wait. So you said why no PSG or City player has gone to Madrid or Barcelona?
Yeah, because they have the players, but Aguero could play for Madrid or Barcelona.
Okay, first of all, two things. First of all, F raised the point. There's a whole money thing.
No. City's wages are actually not that high compared.
No. But let's say Madrid called them, City could give them a new offer.
The money thing is one thing, but I think even more so, I think that Neymar has already been at Barcelona, and he even wants to go back. He tried to go back, but there's some complications, and I do believe that maybe when Messi leaves, Neymar's going to go back to Barcelona. Mbappe, Real Madrid said that they had already finalized that before this whole COVID thing landed, they were actually going to announce that they were going to be getting Mbappe, so that deal is actually on the works. So PSG is a stopgap
Remember
for
Verratti?
Mbappe
They made him do a video.
What is
So
that?
what about Man City then?
You see, but then which players at Man City are wanted by Real Madrid?
Yeah,
The only
City don't
players
buy
that Real
world class
Madrid
players. They just
are-
fill the squad up. That's the difference.
No,
Yeah.
obviously, Real
And not
Madrid
to mention,
always
even
has
if Madrid go
been-
after a City player, they can just give him more money.
Wait.
They can give the
Okay,
City a new contract.
Real Madrid's priority has always been Neymar and Mbappe. That's always been their priority. Like Sterling has just been on like Sterling, Mane. These have just been rumors, but concretely, their eyes set has always been on really Mbappe because
Pogba
Neymar is really a Barcelona thing. So,
Yeah. I think Manning might leave though. Manning.
you think Mane is going to join Real Madrid?
No. I think he might leave Liverpool for a few reasons. Like I looked at his wages and stuff; they weren't good. And on
I
top of
want
that,
Salah to leave.
you know, the club came out with something like, "Oh, there's a wage cap." Listen, if
Yeah,
I'm
but
his
there's a wage
agent, I'm
cap in
putting him.
Madrid too, though.
No, but yours is high. This is like I mean, when Rashford is earning more than you, if I'm his agent, I'm like, you know, we're leaving. You know, there's no way.
Okay, so this is interesting. So, if let's say the season gets finished and Liverpool end up winning the title, now I can't even believe I'm saying this. So Henderson would have captained Liverpool to a Champions League win
Exactly.
and a Premier League win. Now, would that mean Henderson would have a greater career and legacy than Gerrard?
No, because who
No,
the
no,
hell
no,
is
no.
Henderson, man? This guy's like a
No.
janitor. Like I can find
He's-
10 Hendersons down the block, bro.
Oh no. But Henderson. Listen, I'm surprised Henderson survived this long. Honestly, I wasn't. Like I remember when we was gonna swap him with that Dempsey.
Wow.
There was a swap deal, but they rejected it.
Henderson
I
on the
don't know
team
how
because
this
the
guy has
team's
managed
built-
to do this. Honestly, it's a miracle. It's a
It's
miracle.
because
It's one of
the
those things.
team's built on heart and passion, and Henderson epitomizes that. So
Yeah, I
No,
thought,
but when you look at Liverpool, you don't look at Henderson. You looked at Salah, Mane, Firmino, and
but the
Van
thing
Dijk.
is, what happens when Henderson is not in that team is the question. So
I
like,
mean, they're still winning. I mean, what? Look, man, Henderson was in the Atletico game. That still didn't change anything.
no, well,
Henderson-
like he like they, yeah, like I
No.
I just think that like I think it's just because he's not that sort of flair midfielder that people sort of want. I think he's almost like he's an easy. There's clearly something that Henderson is doing, whether it's
Yeah.
behind the scenes on the field, as to why he always picks him and why. No, I don't think it's even just as the captain. I think there is something that he's contributing to team. And going back to Gerrard, like the fact that you have a player like Henderson who's on the verge of winning, is obviously on the verge of Premier League. And Gerrard, who's had a lot more talent and never did. And I appreciate Liverpool have a better squad now, but still,
Listen,
it can't just not be because Henderson is just an irrelevant, player or something. Come on.
No. Henderson, what he does is, he talks to players in the dressing room, he bigs them up.
On the field,
on the field, he tells.
Bro, come on, that's expected from the captain, bro. That's expected.
Starch, you
That's the
can't just
minimum
call
requirement.
Henderson a passion merchant. Starch,
No,
you can't
honestly,
call Henderson a passion
honestly,
merchant.
that's what they say when players say when they ask the players who do you want to be captain, they said him. When they said give reasons, they said, oh, we can always talk to him. He bigs us up, he shouts. That's what he is really. I mean, he has no others. He's
Is there
good.
any
He's good.
Liverpool players you like?
Listen. I like all the. I want Manny to stay. I like all the players, but what I'm saying is, Henderson is not better than Gerrard. I never disrespected Gerrard's ability. It's just that I was think he wasn't that ambitious.
But you was not saying Firmino. You don't think Firmino?
Oh yeah, Firmino. I definitely don't rate him. I rate Gerrard, but I don't think he was ambitious.
You want to know you want to know how bad Henderson is? Go watch that Croatia versus England game in the semis. Ever since they
Henderson.
won up, Henderson was long balls nowhere.
Henderson's a decent player, but what he offers to the team, the reason why he gets in the team is the intangibles. It's the passion. He talks. That's what puts him over the top. if you didn't have those assets,
No,
those
no, no,
intangibles,
those things are important.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
football is a team sport, communication, and like there's a lot of games where like I've noticed that he speaks to Trent like a lot, and so one of the reasons why Trent actually gets back into position a lot, if you watch some games, is because he's actually shouting at Trent to make sure he goes back. When he's
Exactly.
not there, when he's
I
not
mean, but
there,
he's the only English. But other than Trent, he's the only English player in that team.
No, no.
So he
There's
speaks the language
there's
that
Milner.
everyone
There's
needs to
Milner.
hear.
There's Milner.
And
But
Mark,
even when Trent was starting out, he used to report to Trent's mom how he's behaving and stuff. This guy's a very good captain. He does everything correctly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so wait, I wanna go to this. So this guy says you live to prove how great you are. Simple. Now here's my thing here. Like again, I appreciate guys like say that dedicates their careers to let's say it's a Roma, it's a Liverpool or so forth. But we have to agree that the greatest players in the world have either played for Barcelona or Real Madrid. And there is something to be said that once you succeed with a Real Madrid or you deliver a Champions League, it puts you in a particular echelon and a particular thing based on just Real Madrid being the biggest club in club football based on their 13 UCL titles. So do you still feel that to really be seen as that quintessential, truly great player, you have to succeed at a Real Madrid, or you think that's irrelevant?
that's
It's
irrelevant.
irrelevant, man. You can still do that, like the likes of Bayern, Inter, Juve, AC Milan, if they're ever coming back. It's just that, but those, look, man, we have to remember, Barcelona were not this big. Like I don't know, like 20 years ago. Like Bayern were a bigger club than Barca. You like Inter, AC Milan were bigger than Barca. It's just that this decade, Barca just came out big, and like let's be honest, in like next decade and 20 years from now, Barca won't be that big. So, like only Madrid is at the highest level every single year.
Wait, just a few comments. So basically, Starch, you are not a Liverpool fan. That's an exclamation mark. No, I've got a few more. Starch, get the F out this hangout. Another one says Starch hates everything Liverpool.
I said, listen, I didn't even diss the guy's ability. I said he was good.
Let me see if I can find anything more.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, man.
Okay, so sorry, why do you think that Liverpool fans think that you hate the club though? So why do you think you get this much hate?
All right, listen, man.
Oh, man, Starch.
I'm just gonna keep it honest. I like the club a lot. But as you noticed, as you can tell, I'm a players first type of guy, and I feel football needs to evolve and players need to take power. I just don't want to hear excuses at the end of people's career, like I was loyal, stuff like that.
So
I don't like that.
Are you more a football fan than a Liverpool fan?
More a football fan than Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
That's a different. I like Liverpool a lot, but more of a football fan.
But you feel
I like football a lot. But what I'm seeing is, I feel like in these clubs, even at Liverpool, there's almost like an unfair exchange when it comes to players and management. And the reason why I say this is because I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm looking at the players' structures, right? And I'm looking at how good these players are. This is how much I respect these players. This is how much I, adore them. Players like Mane, even Salah, Van Dijk. I'm looking at their wages and I'm looking at where Liverpool is ranked financially in the world. And they're like meant to be sixth, right? Sixth biggest club financially.
Who?
Liverpool. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how are you paid this much? And I know Man United is very big. It's like the biggest club financially.
Yeah,
but how is Mane paid like half of what Rashford is earning?
No, but dude,
and then they're coming out. No. Wait, and then they're coming out and saying, "Oh, yeah," and then I'm hearing reports like there's a wage cap, and every time we want to sign a good player, the first things that come out is, "Oh, we can't ruin the wage cap of the club." What do you mean ruin the wage cap? These guys, when the Ballon d'Or list came, so many of them were in the top 20, and you're on about wage cap for Sancho. Basically, these guys are saying we can't sign Sancho because he'd be earning more than the players that are here. When the players that are here are much better, and they're more senior. So I'm thinking, you are doing these players wrong.
No, but that's every club though. Look at Madrid, bro. Like Ronaldo wanted like a few extra million, and Paris said no, and then they made him leave.
No.
Like,
but
it's like that happens every club.
No, but as a player, you have to have a cutoff point, man. You have to have a cutoff point. You have to be like, I have to earn this as a limit.
The only club that has no rules is Barcelona. They just give every player like 150, 200K, like, and that's why that club is going downhill.
Oh, no, but see, this is where it gets tricky. You see, if I'm a Perez, you pay Cristiano pretty much what he wants. Obviously, there's a point. There's a point. But because the reason why you pay him what he wants is you will always recoup that loss in the long term based off merchandising, sponsorship, and shirt sales. You always
Champions League.
Yes, so no, but that's not. I'm talking about beyond that because no, the real money comes. The real money is in Champions League. The real money is that sponsorship stuff, the tours, the preseason tours, and so forth, and the kinds of.
No, but the thing is, Double H, these merchandise, these sales, they don't even. The club doesn't even get that much money back. They only make like 5%, 10% back. The rest goes all to Nike, Adidas. They all go back to the Nikes and all that. The clubs don't make that much money with these all merchandise and all that.
Well, Jamal was speaking.
Jamal.
Yeah. Where's your top 5 clubs like in football?
Me. So Liverpool are obviously my
No, I was actually. Yeah, you could answer it.
Wait, top 5 clubs in terms of what, football or marketing?
Football.
Oh, in terms of football, top 5 clubs.
Yeah.
See, okay, overall or right now?
Nah, overall.
Overall, number 1 is Real Madrid.
Easy.
For sure.
Madrid, Milan, Bayern, Barca.
Number 2, you'll probably say Barcelona.
No way.
Number 3, probably Bayern Munich. Number 4, probably then Liverpool. And then
Milan.
And then probably Milan.
Wait, how is Barca number 2, man? That makes no sense.
It's I think it's just that Milan are so crap. But if you not take everything into account based on what they've done over there, you'll probably be Real Madrid, AC Milan, maybe then Bayern Munich, Liverpool,
then Barca.
And then Barca.
No Manchester United.
There's 6.
Yeah, Man United. Because the thing with United is obviously they had that period with Charlton and so forth, like the Busby Babes and everything. Then you had the whole Ferguson era. But when you look at the combination of league and European titles and European legacy, I just think what Liverpool, Milan, Real Madrid have done is large. But you could then see basically 5th is a strong argument between Man United or Barcelona. But my thing though is what they did in the Pep era was so money. You see, if you take the Pep era away, then United is get 5th. But what they did in the Pep era was so profound. And people talk about that team being one of the greatest sides of all time. So once a club has produced one of the greatest sides of all time, it's automatically makes up for maybe winning as many European trophies as Liverpool, AC Milan, or Real Madrid. So hence why I say, because in terms of football, Real Madrid is the pinnacle. This is why I say, like, there's a European mentality, and then there's a. I think it's different for Italians and English. I think have a strong sense of loyalty.
And the clubs in England and Italy are massive too, so there's not like.
No. I mean, it's exactly. But I think in England, like, there is a big thing on loyalty and being loyal to your club and so forth. So for a Gerrard, he's like, I grew up in Liverpool, it's my thing. Boom. Totti, I grew up in Roma, everything. Boom. Juventus, you guys go down, we're going to help you. So there's a big thing there. But I think for South Americans and so forth, by them, their dream is always to succeed for either Real or Barcelona, based on the history of South Americans that have played for these clubs. So that's why it's a cultural thing, because I think for a lot of people, they're like, yeah, okay, winning for Liverpool and United is big. A seal is a seal, but a seal for Real Madrid is different. It's more special because they're that club. And wearing that shirt means a lot more than wearing the shirt of any other club based on their football heritage.
So, so like in Africa, where you go say is like the biggest club. Like, I know you're from Nigerian thing,
It's
so in
United.
African
United
terms,
is
where
big
you go
in
to
the African country.
United? Yeah, because when Igalo come, I see the whole Nigeria was up and out. I mean, they was very happy when Igalo went Manchester United.
Here's the thing there is that I think it's based on the country. You see, if you're Nigerian, United is big. Look at how much it's meant for Igalo to go to United. Like United is easily the biggest club in Nigeria. But now if you now go to Cameroon or see with Sadio Mane, I don't know because I don't know Sadio Mane said, but if I was to take a guess, I think Sadio Mane would really want to succeed with Real Madrid. There's just something that tells me that if Real Madrid come calling, Sadio Mane is probably going to ride there. And my thinking is this: if Real Madrid make an offer for Salah, does Salah stay with Liverpool?
Oh no. Salah was a Madrid fan growing up. He was a Madrid fan. That's everyone knows that. Yeah, he was a Madrid fan.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the thing there. So I mean, look, see for me, I always see there's a difference between like the club game and the international game, and I appreciate people that stay loyal in the club game. But look, Pele said it famously that in club football, a player can be kissing the badge one season of one team and kissing the badge of another season. Ibra is the greatest club whore of all time. It's like Ibra has been to every single team, and he just hopped from team to team to team to team. No,
it's embarrassing what he did in Italy, man. Milan, Inter, Juve, like.
I mean, that's so like that. So sorry, to go for it. Well,
I just said still scoring goals. To be fair, you know. So
we have to see. Maybe not for now, but we have to have a serious conversation about Ibra because people keep telling me he's a legend. So for all of your legendary stuff, you can't give me a single CL final appearance. Forget about the Champions League. You have never played a Champions League final, and you've played for some of the biggest clubs where they had players at their peak. So,
but what are you supposed to do to become a horseman? Like, I know you can win for Sweden. So, like, if you're playing for like a small country, how you could become a horseman? You have a rule for that, or you just have to win the World Cup?
See, unless you do something absolutely freakishly off the wall, then boom. Yeah. Like, for instance, if Ibra did what, let's say, a Messi or Cristiano have done, then maybe you can then make a thingy. But he hasn't. And I think for Cristiano and Messi is that, I'm sorry, like, your teams are good enough to win a World Cup. There is no excuse whatsoever.
Yeah, no, not Portugal. Come on, man.
And Argentina cannot win a World Cup. No excuse whatsoever. I'm sorry. Like,
nah, not for Portugal.
Portugal now have a good enough team to win.
Yeah, now
they have
now they do. But if we're talking about like the last 15 years.
So basically, in 2018, there was no excuse why Portugal couldn't win that World Cup in 2018.
What? What are you talking about? Did you see that squad? Dude, they had good players, but they had no world-class players.
FG, I don't want to go down this hole, but FG, if you're the defending European champions...
Dude, but put context. How did they win that championship? They defended for 90 minutes every game, and they only won one game out in 90 minutes. Every other game, they went to extra time.
Okay, and also the rules, they finished third in their group under normal...
Exactly, behind Iceland.
But because the rules changed, they somehow now they don't think they deserve
exactly, dude. They shouldn't even won it, bro. It was a miracle.
Okay, wait. So let me just say, I need football in my life soon. That's all. Look, we all do, but we're doing our best. Liverpool was winning CLs before TV was invented. Not
we never saw those CLs.
No.
We never saw those CLs.
I think they won the first CL in 1970, so that's impossible.
You see, okay. Maybe you guys can explain to me, why do people hate Hazard so much?
Because if you make a player this big, that player has to deliver, and he's not delivered.
Okay, so you're saying that I'm to blame?
You know, I think Like Rashford's better than Hazard. Like they're better. They're better.
Okay, Red Devil, Red
Yeah,
Devil.
Rashford this
No,
season
that's
has
crazy.
Rashford this
Hold
season
your
is better than
horses. Hold your
Hazard. Rashford
horses.
this
Hold your
season is better than
horses. Hold
Hazard.
your horses. Wait, easy. Red Devil.
Yeah.
Based on what Hazard did in his final season for Chelsea, can you please, in a
What did Hazard do?
solid way, explain to me how you came to the conclusion that Rashford is better than Zad? Not Hazard, Zad. How's it better than Zad?
What did Hazard do? What did Hazard do in the last season for Chelsea? Can you just explain? I just wanted what did he do that was so significant?
He led them to Europe. Let me finish. Let me just
Rashford
finish.
did that 3 years
Let me
prior
just
to that,
finish.
bro.
FG,
Rashford
FG,
already
I'm going to
did
meet
that.
you, bro. FG, I'm going to meet you right now.
Rashford did it in 2016. He won a European Cup in 2016.
Exactly.
I'll have to meet you. Let me land. Let me land. He led his team to a European trophy, scoring a G and having 2 assists in the European final.
Okay.
I think he had his highest ever goals and assists in that season. And once he did, he also scored one of the best goals ever since in the Premier League with his goal against West Ham. And also what he was able to do with a bunch of garbage sidemen. Remember, this is no Tam Abraham. This is no Reece James and so forth. These are a bunch of backyard side
World Cup winners in Pedro and Giroud.
Wasn't Kante playing with Hazard as well?
Yeah, another World Cup winner.
He was playing as well, but
and did you know Hazard only played in in the Europa League final? In every other game in the Europa League, he didn't even play a single minute.
FG, let him land. Don't let
No. Okay, so Red Devil, because you made this assessment. How do you come to the conclusion that Rashford is better than a guy who was one of the best players at a World Cup? Please explain to me.
Like, what I'm trying to say, hey HH, is like you led with your statement that like what Hazard achieved in his last season. You mentioned a few key things, and fair enough, but like it's consistency. Where was Hazard in that 6-0 rape by Manchester City? Where was your world-class player when you were absolutely dominated by a Bournemouth side? Where was like Hazard consistently throughout that season, bar a few clutch appearances, did not really help Chelsea much at all. And considering his quality, did he ever win a Champions League at Chelsea? Rashford at his age, okay, bearing in mind at his age, okay, because Rashford was only like 22 now, so it was 2 years ago. So at 20 years old, Rashford won the Europa League and scored clutch free kicks and goals to help United. When he scored a clutch free kick in the semi-final to get them through.
No, for the audience, what did he do in the Europa League final?
Oh, come on! How old was? So you're saying Hazard has not won a CL, his greatest European trophy, winning a Europa League at what 26, 25. Rashford is 20 and has already won. Bearing in mind as well, against PSG last season. Yes, okay.
He knocked out your boy, the prodigy, bro.
He had a better performance than Mbappé against PSG in the Champions League when Hazard was playing farmers in the Europa League. Come on, bro, man. I mean,
no. Not to mention, Double H. You always say Hazard needs a better supporting cast. He plays for Real Madrid, 13-time champions, and
Injuries.
guess what? His highlight of the season is in him admitting he can't stop eating cookies.
Rashford's been playing with a stress fracture in his back, and she said that like he's been playing with injuries. So and I would argue stress fracture is worse than what Hazard has been playing with. Come on, like everyone has injuries.
No, but guys, let's be fair here. Like basically, all jokes apart now. Yes, Hazard needs to do a lot more to prove himself, and we can't cast judgment upon him on Real Madrid. And yes, why did he turn up overweight? You need to lose weight, and yes, he needs to be far more professional. All the stuff is true.
Double H. Double H. Hazard was motivated to go to Real Madrid. Since he got this move, he's not going to be motivated anymore.
So yes, he needs to be far more professional and everything, and he needs to sort of get in shape and so forth. But you can't cast judgment yet until his Real Madrid career is fully finished. And may I remind people that
it's over. It's over. It's over.
My big thing with Hazard, just one my big thing with Hazard for me was that like Hazard for me never really turned up in the big games. people criticize Rashford goals, but the fact of the matter is, Rashford in the big games that he's been available in, he has turned up. Hazard did great against a lot of the lower teams or mid teams in the Premier League, but against the big teams like a City, for example, Liverpool, he didn't turn up.
Red Devil, can I ask you one thing? Let me just quickly say, so FG was speaking the truth. Yes, I didn't know he wasn't. He was speaking lies. So, Red Devil, can I just ask this right now?
Okay.
Is there any game that Rashford has played that is bigger than a World Cup semi? Just please answer that question for me very simply.
This is my biggest issue.
I didn't crack a joke. Just please, just a simple answer, yes or no. Has Rashford ever played a game bigger than a World Cup semi?
Clearly.
So you're counting participation trophies? Come on, man. Participation, and he lost a damn semi.
Yeah, he lost. HH, you're going against everything you stand for. You're a wins and losses guy in semis and finals. And now you're saying he's had this performance.
No. But Starch, you're right. He didn't win. But
didn't Rashford? No, hold up. Didn't Rashford play against Croatia?
But Starch, I am comparing two players, Rashford and Hasby, because
Rashford played against Croatia in the England World Cup semi, didn't he? So he has played in semi.
Did Rashford play in that semi?
Rashford played in that semi. I'm fairly sure played in that semi.
What did he do in that semi?
Okay.
Do people remember him playing?
You said whether he played or not. I've told you Rashford played in the World Cup semi against Croatia and they got knocked out. Okay.
Okay. Good. He was on the pitch serving drinks. And Hazard was arguably one of the best players on that pitch. France had to put about 4 or 5 guys on him. But all I'm saying is this, Red Devils today is this, and at least even taking us back. I have been surprised by Rashford this season, and I gave Rashford the credit. Yes, he's playing with pressure, and I do feel that he definitely has that clutch gene. But I do feel that from your fan base, yes, your fan base, they are overrating Rashford's ability. And I do think that once you're a big fish in a small pond, i.e., you talk about pressure. Yes, there's pressure, but how much pressure is there really at United when people accept that this is a club that
more compared to PSG, man? More compared to the pressure that Mbappé is.
No.
Come on.
Oh, no. Okay, Red Devil. Does Rashford have more pressure at United than Mbappé for PSG in the Champions League?
No, of course not. But like they're two completely different competitions. So like, and on top of that, and as we said, PSG clearly have a better in terms of squad depth, etc. Than so. Yes, Mbappé has pressure, but Neymar also has pressure. I'm sure Icardi, Cavani, something like that always is pressure. You know, a lot of pressure has been put on Marco, mostly because of being injury. A lot of pressure put on.
On that pitch in the CL last season, a lot of people put a lot of the blame on that loss on Mbappé.
And Neymar as well, though, to be fair. Neymar, who wasn't even playing, they were like, because you got injured, because you're busy dealing with your daughter or whatever, sister or something like that. But
the narrative was, yes, Neymar skipped, but Neymar wasn't on the pitch. Mbappé was on the pitch. He missed a lot of key chances. You didn't put the game to bed, and people now questioned whether, is this guy really that dude? Is this guy really the next big thing? So that was it. So I just think that people have to realize that the pressure that Mbappé has, because of what he did at the World Cup, because of what Pele has said about him, because of now where his standing is, he now has as much pressure as Neymar for delivering in the Champions League. He has it. So
he doesn't
like that.
Yeah, he's got because PSG spent 150 something million pounds on a player, so it's reasonable to expect. Rashford came from the Manchester United academy. This is what people forget. Like, it's not like Rashford. If Rashford went to Real Madrid for 200 million, then fair enough, he should get as much pressure as possible. But Rashford came from the Manchester United academy, like obviously local, etc. And he's obviously he's doing what he can given the state that Manchester United Football Club has been over his time. Mbappé came from Monaco for 150 million in a world-class a team or a squad, of course he should have more pressure. That should be obvious. But playing in that Farmers League from dawn to dusk, like he's obviously not going to have that compared to the Premier League, in my opinion.
We could call it a farmers league, but Rashford's only been good for like 6 months. I mean, I don't know all of a sudden why he's become world class.
You not
Listen,
see
he's been good for like a few months this season, and suddenly he's amazing. I mean,
did you not see him playing under Van Gaal when Van Gaal was here for the last?
Oh my God, that was like 4 years ago. I mean, he's had like 3 months in 4 years. He had like 3 months then and like 4 months now. I mean, it's not. He's only listen. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. He's a good player.
Okay, let's just take these few ones and let's just round out. From your side, it says that United and Madrid most pressure, i.e. Pogba.
Yeah. Well, that World Cup in particular you're talking about, the Mbappé one, when France were under pressure, it was Paul Pogba that was the one that was getting the most stick, not Mbappé, even though Mbappé was a rising star. If there was any issue with France, Paul Pogba was the one that was getting the stick, no doubt about that.
Okay. So yesterday it says, okay, Man United sell papers. No one cares about PSG. I mean, United are big in the sense of, which is why I say off the pitch in terms of their brand, but based on the PSG project and the reason why Neymar came here, and especially based on how we all insult and abuse them and call them losers, PSG always have that massive pressure. Because look, man, I'm out. We've done our 3 hours. I will see you guys on Sunday. And all I'm saying is this: just give Zad a chance. That's all I'm asking for. Just give him a chance. And Zad, if you're out there, stay away from the donuts and the hamburgers and the ice cream. I'm begging you, please. Thank you. Please stay true. I'm out. Peace.
Take care, man.
They